Ain't gonna be no repo, man.
Yeah.
Best damn car on the lot.
Shit, girls pay to go out with me.
I bet you're a used car salesman.
Okay.
Hey, Mama, want to take a lift?
You gotta pull it tight.
No, I got to talk in this one.
Pull it tight. Maybe.
Oh, yeah.
It works, doesn't it? Yeah. So, yeah, when the show goes to crap, we just plug that into the internets and it fixes all of our problems. Yes. So, what is a bell on that thing, too? We don't even have to say Husaberg. The more you ride, the less intelligent you are. Cheers. So, the Reposado. What? You do it like that? No, this is sipping stuff, Mark.
I sip nothing.
Welcome to Tech Talk Taco Tuesday, show where we talk about motorcycle-related products. This is episode number 243. My name is Jimmy Lewis, washed-up ex-motorcycle racer, former journalist. I used to run a motorcycle school, and now I'm trying to quit being a race promoter and just go riding all the time because that's more fun. Crazy Mark?
Hey, what's up, Jimmy?
This is Mark Schneider. I have known Mark for a long, long time.
How long?
You do the math, because I'm thirsty.
I know.
Let me tell you, so while you're doing the math in your head, let me tell you how this show works. So we talk about dirt bikes and stuff. We answer your questions. If you have questions, just put them up in the chat. That's the one thing I forgot to do. I forgot to fire up my chat thing here, but I can actually put the chat up in the corner of the bot. Watch this.
Boom.
Look at that. It's on the show
Magic.
live. So the chat is ready to display messages, and I hope I didn't jack it up because I used it in a different show, but we'll see. Usually they tell us when there's no sound, and so we start getting all these messages. There's no sound. My phone starts ringing, stuff like that. But the job of the co-host is when I get thirsty and I stop talking, which very rarely happens.
About yourself?
Well, I try not to do that either, but it really bothers me. So when I quit talking about myself or Husabergs, then you have to chime in and answer the questions. So there's a guy who asked a lot of questions who we may call tonight, a guy named Jeff, I believe. I have his name here someplace to go, but because I'm going to forget how to do this, from Guatemala, Marco checked in with his bike test. So we're going to go ahead and hit that real quick here. Hopefully this works. Oh boy, there's his bike. Now we need to make it work. Don't shut the show off. Oh, it could get ugly here. Play. Well, see, now I lost my cursor. There we go.
Yeah.
I think he needs to get out of the wind.
I love wind noise.
Yeah, wind noise is everybody's favorite. Audio. This is the thing. Is audio is what makes a podcast go bad.
He needs a foam thing on his mic.
Right. You called that out here, Mark. Audio guy who spins vinyl at the local establishments in Bend.
Yeah,
Yep.
a little bit.
You want to plug
dabbling.
You want to plug your show?
Yeah, it's kind of on hiatus right now, but I do vinyl Monday nights at Immersion Brewing, Bend, Oregon, and love those guys. They got great beer.
I would go there. Mark spun some vinyls, some punk rock classics. The last time I was up there, I think he played part of the soundtrack from Repo Man.
Oh,
Yeah,
can I ding it when we
Yeah,
do a
you-
Repo Man reference tonight? I think we should change that from Husaberg to any Repo
Man reference during the
Could be a good drinking game.
during the show. Yeah, could be.
Know what I mean?
there was some people over on the YouTubes that came and said, I've got to get this thing set up. I got to escape this. I got to make that thing go away. And I've got to, I got to make a tab that shows me if people are asking questions on the restreams. We'll see. If you already asked, I'm going to put it up here and see. Let's see. So somebody said something, but it's so small I can't see. Hey, Brap. I think that's what he said. Brap. So anyways, ask your questions in the restream chat. Tonight we're going to talk about pistons, the amazing hand rev. We got Marco's video, which we just said. So Marco he told you how much it cost. I wasn't paying attention. I was trying to fix some stuff during the show. $1,500.
14, 13.
He's going to do a $1,500 Chinese bike test from Guatemala, allegedly.
Is that a retooled ATK, or was it was an AKT?
AKT, I think they're all knockoffs of Hondas. Yeah, they're all knockoffs of the kind of the different Honda platforms.
Everybody's got the mold.
Yeah. So it's like everything. They produce all these things. Repo Man is always intense. Yeah. That was a good one. Yeah, cheers, Jeff. Thanks.
This could get ugly.
Yeah. Yep. No beer is needed here.
Oh boy.
Mm-hmm. Okay, but we will get to the motorcycle stuff as needed. But first, I wanted to read a letter that we got. It says, "Hi again. Just wanted to know if you received my previous email. I'm trying to find out if you have any sponsored options available on Dirt Bike Test. Says, thanks, Emily." Yeah, I read your previous email. I responded back. I said, "Hi, what are you wearing?"
Ooh.
I don't even know what she's trying to sell us. Oh. But it might have been hearing aids. It could have been male
I need those.
Hair enhancement. Yeah, all these things.
And that.
So Jeff Graffo, if you're ready, just make sure if you're out there, go ahead and chime into the chat. Let us know you're ready to take this call. Most people don't know that we're going live 15 minutes early tonight because I'm afraid Mark's going to fall asleep on me.
Yeah, I'm old and stuff.
So I don't have anything to promote, but this show is brought to you by Yamaha. Go check out all your Blue Crews at your Yamaha dealer, and they have announced an extra round of their Blue Crew Invitational Series in 2025. They're going to Glen Helen Raceway in March. May is Redbud. June, Oak Hills Raceway. And November, Monster Mountain MX Park. So they added an event. There it is. And on every Sunday says, "I'm here." I think that's Jeff. So, Jeff, I will probably give you a call. And if you are watching this show, you're going to get a feedback loop. So we can't have the volume coming into the phone because it'll
turn it down.
It'll be a little bit of a delay. So I got the number here. I'll call you here in a few minutes. But a little update. Let's see. Here, why don't you read this question here? This is this one here. Hi, Dirt Bike Test.
Hi, Dirt Bike Test. Hope you're doing great. I'm Zoe from Want You.
What do you think she's wearing?
I don't know. Not much. Maybe
from Want You.
I know. Want You,
Yeah,
representing Tot Woo, the smart jewelry brand.
Oh,
where tech meets fashion.
We're the perfect collaboration match for that.
Yeah, I was going to wear jewelry, but I chose not to tonight.
That's okay. Yeah, you do you.
I recently discovered your work on YouTube, and I'm truly impressed by your content. Your style aligns perfectly with our brand's vibe.
I wonder what style and vibe she's talking about, because I'm wearing a Bulletproof Designs hoodie today. Bulletproof Designs, they've helped us out a bunch in the past, and we've been on the show.
And I believe you will be an incredible fit for this collaboration. That's a big word, collaboration.
Well,
people use it a lot.
I think so, yeah. Okay, we'll collab soon.
Should this cue your interest, you are welcome to provide your contact details or get in touch with me directly and share your quotation.
Oh, that means I got to make an offer.
What's your quotation wearing?
Yeah.
We would be delighted to forward a jewelry sample to you by post.
So
like cereal? Or post office.
Post office.
Okay, yeah.
So here's the important thing. If you would like to help us do a what is it? A want you Julie collab. We're always testing people out to work here at Dirt Bike Test. So you got to start someplace. And some people sweep the floors, and some people wear jewelry.
And it says simply click on, and you never click on. When it says simply click on, you never click on that because that's virus right there.
Okay, just checking. I'll send anybody that wants that link.
Let's create something magical together and light up the world.
Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and try to give Jeff a call right here. Don't throw that away because there might be other questions on it. Okay, we're calling Jeff right now. I can hear it on the ringer. You sure there wasn't any other questions on that? I know there might have been.
This is Jeff.
This is Jeff. Jeff, welcome to Tech Talk Taco Tuesday. You're live on the show. I'm amazed at the amount of questions and the variety of bikes that you have questions about.
I've always got questions.
I think we started out with a CRF 250X question. Is that where we started?
Correct. Last week.
Okay. So I was a little confused because when you first started asking, it was a CRF 250X. It wouldn't shift into fourth, correct?
Right. Well, it felt like it wouldn't shift into fourth. So when I was riding it, I was test riding it from somebody I ultimately ended up buying it from. And when I was riding in third, I would shift to fourth, let the clutch out, get on the gas, and I felt no power to the ground, and just all I'm getting is just a high rev. And so it immediately felt like, it's not shifting to fourth. It's just staying in third.
Okay, so we're gonna stop there because when you say it didn't, because I always just kind of break things down on the information I'm given. So it wouldn't shift into fourth. So the first thing is like bent shift forks, and Johnny Campbell is here, and it's like, yeah, but that doesn't really happen that much. It takes some pretty big slams, upshifts or downshifts to bend shift forks. But if you're buying it from some dude, and there's a reason why people sell bikes sometimes. It's like, it kind of shifts, but maybe in the test ride.
What about a clutch failure?
Well, or that the clutch, the plates are kind of warped and a lot of stuff. So it's just, I don't know why it would be any better in a third or fourth or fifth, as far as shifting. If it doesn't disengage, it doesn't shift good really in any gear. I could see the speed of the gears having something to do with it, how fast they're spinning. But so I think I said it's looking really bad. Drain the transmission fluid, and if you have a magnetic drain plug, even better.
Yep.
Because then you're going to see if there's parts. Because generally, bent shift forks cause gear grinding. Like when they try to shift, they don't shift. So that was the information I had, and then we kind of ran through all these options. And then the one came back and said, so I was able to get it into fourth, and then it shifted, and then I'm like, oh, the clutch is completely smoked.
Throw a leather shoelace in there.
Where I determined after you had sent me the email, I threw it up on a stand, and spin the wheel, shift the gear, the wheel, shift the gear.
Did I tell you? Did I tell you to do that too?
Gears. Yes.
Okay, I did tell you to put it on the stand and do it without the motor running or something. Okay, got it.
Yes. Yep.
Sometimes I forget my own advice.
That's where I was able to eliminate. It's probably not a bent shift fork. It's got to be the clutch.
Need to throw a leather shoelace in there.
Well, that's if you're stuck out in the trail. Yeah. So as the load increased on the engine through the clutch, the clutch could no longer take the load, so it could pull it in first, second, third. But as you shift gears, that's putting a bigger, higher load on the motor, and then the clutch finally gave up. And I can also see that even in the lower gears, it was probably spinning also. And so, it's getting hotter and those clutches, I think, as they heat up, the lever actually gets tighter and then it gets worse. Am I correct?
Yeah. That's to me. So that's where I went. My first thing was, okay, let me adjust the clutch cable at the lever. So I would adjust it, and it kind of released the clutch pull and hopped on it, rode it, and that's what was okay. It's fine. It felt good. I can feel it. I can feel the torque at the ground when I'm shifting into fourth and fifth. So I'm like, okay, well, that was it. That fixed it.
Okay. So
At least temporarily.
it's your clutch is smoked. I promise you.
Yeah.
If you were able to rev it a few times in fourth gear and the bike kind of didn't go anyplace, you've at least glazed the clutch plates. And then so here's what I would do with that bike. It's so easy to get the clutch out. Just pop the cover off, pull the clutch plates out.
Yep.
When you do that, check the actuation. Make sure that when you pulling in the clutch, you can see it moving the pressure plate, the push rod. It's all doing its kind of stuff. Just check to make sure that's all good, because sometimes those can get sticky. And I've even seen where guys misassemble them and they leave like one of the washers on the hat bearing out, or somehow the oil has gotten low and it kind of plugs up some of the oil journals in the clutch basket, and this is what actually ultimately caused the clutch issue to begin with. But sometimes you can get away with replacing only the fiber plates, but you have to make sure that the steels, and I don't know if they're steel or aluminum in that particular motor, but you want to make sure those things are perfectly flat, because when it slips like you talked about, there often tends to be some warping in the clutch, and that ultimately will cause bad shifting because the clutch will not totally disengage. So we're putting Michelle Marshall to sleep and with her cat. That's really good. And you know what? I don't care, because somebody needs to know how to fix a clutch.
And
Absolutely.
I had a recent friend with a Beta that had, I think, 8 clutch plates came in the kit, and there's an extra 1 plate that's a separate number, separate order. It's thicker, right? And that didn't come with his clutch kit. Tried to put it in, and it just spun,
Oh, because he had too many.
He had not enough.
Not enough.
Yeah.
It didn't come with the special.
No, it came with one was thicker.
Okay. Because especially on the European bikes and Yamahas you'd even do this. They have different plates. They have different materials and different grip levels. So clutches are really, really complex. From the way the manufacturer sells them. And then some of the aftermarket ones, especially the lower cost ones, it's just a set of clutch plates, and it will work just like a clutch. Kind of, it's not going to work as good as the stock one. And then you have companies like Recluse and Hinson that go the extra mile to build these packs that are just really, set up. I mean, Recluse they have their torque drive ones, which are thinner, and they actually put more in there. And then back to the KTMs, they have different thicknesses, so you can adjust the clutch pack thickness to be proper. So there's a lot of clutch tuning that goes into it, but you can always just buy, I'm sure Tusk or Rocky Mountain, by the way, click through our links if you're going to go there. They probably have a Tusk clutch pack for it that will get the job done, and it'll be half the cost.
I have a Tusk clutch pack in my KDX, and I changed it out recently, and it feels great now. I don't think I've ridden enough different bikes with different clutch plates to notice the difference. So for me, it's like, yeah, you know what? It's $60-$70. Why not?
And that's, in all honesty, that's kind of where, if you're taking out one that's kind of smoked and you're putting in like the Tusk one, it's a big improvement, because you're getting something that actually works. Then if you want to go 10/10, then you replace it with OE stuff, and that's like I always say. I mean, you're never going to go wrong by putting OE stuff. And then if you're going to the aftermarket for more performance, I always say ask yourself what you're trying to get and determine whether that product is going to deliver it. And with the clutch, it's usually kind of certain kind of engagement, certain kind of feel. If it's all stock, you're probably going to be okay. So, okay, that was question number 1. I wanted to just get to you that clutch is smoked.
Yeah, if you really want to test it, just rev it up and dump it in like second or third, and you'll find out really quick if it's...
No. The way to test, and here's the thing, the way to test the clutch is to put the bike in third or fourth gear.
Yeah.
Ride along in third or fourth gear on a good clear thing, and then roll it on, and then start dragging the brake. And as you drag the brake, the rear brake, by the way, as you drag the rear brake, if it doesn't start slowing the engine speed down, the engine speed stays the same, but you're actually slowing down,
It's spinning.
your clutch is bad. You should be able to overpower the pull of the motor with the rear brake, and it should bog the motor down. And like when you're doing this, you do not touch the clutch lever, because if you do, it'll rev right up. So anyways, okay, we took care of the clutch. Oh, and then if you're out in the trail and all of a sudden you find this is happening, first of all, check your clutch cable adjustment, because sometimes the cable, it tightens up or it backs out or it does something funny. I've seen cables fray and hold the clutch partially open. I've seen mud. I've seen guys tip over and get mud or rocks
Sticks.
in their clutch kind of arm and hold it open, and then it slips all the time. Yeah. But if it's really, so check that. If you can't get the engagement there, the next thing to do is to, like you said, you can pull the clutch out and you got to stuff it. You got to put some extra stuff in there. And so that's where that leather shoelace thing can come in. Yeah. Like some sort of a piece of string. I have before taken a fiber plate and broke it because it was so cooked. It was hot. They were brittle. Actually, the guy sitting next to me last week was the one that made the clutch that hot.
Weird.
Yeah, I forgot about that. And I'm calling old Johnny out on this one. So he had a clutch, and actually I didn't even have to break it. They were kind of broken inside the basket. So I took the longer half plates and stacked them up on top of each other and made a
back to the truck.
Made a space. Oh, it was because the clutch wouldn't engage anymore.
Right.
It was we just locked the clutch up, bump started it, and rode it back to the truck. Yeah, or actually
shifting.
Actually, we rode it to a place where we had a clutch. Amazingly, for this particular bike, because we had these problems before, so we started stashing clutches.
Gas, oil, and clutches.
Yeah. Okay. Next question, Jeff.
Yep. That was the Yamaha YZ85.
Right.
So it's not even mine. It's my son's friend. He rebuilt the bottom end and the top end, put it all back together. He can't get it to start. So he brings it over and says, hey, take a look at it, see what you can do. So pull the car, I'm getting fuel. I'm getting spark. I'm getting air. It's a fresh, clean filter. Everything looks good. So I'm like, okay, it's got to be in the carburetor. So I start to tear the carburetor apart, and I'm looking at a manual on Rocky Mountain at that model year, PWK 28 millimeter, going through it, and what they show on the diagram as the needle jet, which I think you responded back, is called
nozzle.
Nozzle. Yep. Just that little brass piece that sits up in the throat and sticks up into the throat of the carburetor from the bottom of the main jet was missing. So what was the main jet screwed into? Directly into the car body? Well, there is, I don't even know what you call it, because on the diagram, it doesn't even have a name. It's the main jet is screwed into the bottom of, it's another copper piece and has the little small little holes in it. I don't know if it's
that's kind of the that's the nozzle. So basically the nozzle, it's usually installed like you would take the slide out and you would drop the nozzle down into a bored out hole in the carburetor, and then the main jet then screws into that, and that's what keeps that assembly kind of all kind of held together.
Then it's two pieces, the main jet. Then
the main jet sometimes has a splash guard over it.
Then it must have a splash guard, and then the main jet screws into the bottom of it, and then the nozzle slides into that bored out hole.
Right.
Yep.
So it's missing. It's that thing's completely gone, or there's different.
It was completely missing, and so I'm looking on Yamaha's. On Rocky Mountain. I'm looking at the OEM parts for that carburetor, different model years. It's there in 2004, but in 2005, 2006, 2007, it's not part of an OEM part in that carburetor. But then it shows back up in 2008 and 9 and 10.
Huh. So Yamaha was like, and I mentioned this also, Yamaha was notorious for making small carburetor changes all the time. They were always playing with jetting and different things. There is also that maybe they were offered a lower cost carburetor that potentially had the same performance, and then maybe that wasn't necessarily the case. So I can see this changing, and then there are also, and like I said, if your carb matches the diagram that that you're looking at, like okay, that's my carb, it doesn't have this, it should run that way properly, but unless you'd have to talk to somebody who was racing those bikes and knew a lot about tuning them, whether there was a good carb quote years and bad carb, and this applies to other bikes, lots of other bikes that I've seen, especially used. There's a lot of knockoff carburetors on there. You can go on to eBay, or now I don't know, Temu. I haven't even been to Temu yet. I need to go buy a motorcycle on there. I want a $3,000 KTM 300.
That'd be fun.
But you can buy these carburetors. Some of them are really good. In fact, on the four-stroke, the YZ 450s and KTM 525s and stuff like that, those carburetors are wearing out. And the Kian ones, if you can get them, are like $1,300. I mean, anywhere from $700 to $1,300. And so what people are doing is they're buying the knockoff carburetors, pulling them apart, and putting all of the hardware, the precision parts out of their Kian into this one. So.
You think they were the same manufacturers for those little parts? And
you never know. I mean, it could be the same. It could be coming out of the same factory. Yeah. The parts. You just don't know
just a different body
anymore. So, were you ever able to get that thing fixed, Jeff?
So he brought me. I asked my son. I said, "Hey, call your buddy. Tell him to look around his garage floor wherever he was disassembling this thing. Look on the floor. Can you find that part?" He says, "Well, I've got a rebuild kit. I've got a cheap Chinese carburetor that I bought online." So he brought all of this over.
There we go.
Yep.
How did I know this?
It over, and sure enough, the nozzle piece is in the knockoff carb. I'm like, oh, great, So I take it out, and I've got to reassemble the Kian one. I'm actually going to take the rebuild kit and put all new clean jets and make sure, because I didn't look at the size of the jets. I'm just assuming. They're probably, who knows what, how long this carb's been in this bike and who's done what to it over time. So I'm going to take all of the rebuild kit jets, put it in there, take that nozzle piece, put it in there, and put it back together and see if I can get it to kick over.
Yeah, if you put it back together with that stuff, I think that's right. I mean, when a nozzle's missing, it doesn't have the suction. I mean, it has kind of the suction, but it can't draw it up the knot.
So it just creates more pressure.
It's a tuned suction out of the out of the bowl. So yeah, everything. Carburetors are amazing. I hate them. I don't ever want to work on one again. I like fuel injection.
Yes.
Let's get rid of the carburetors. So less Yamaha, more Schneider. You got some fans out there, Mark.
Look at that.
Your fans. You know what? If now back to Schneider. If those guys keep commenting, we'll go over 100 comments and we'll get a little star. Okay. We can put a little star on our thing here.
Gold or silver or bronze?
Well, I don't know. We'll find something around here. I'm gonna go with the light. The light.
Look out.
Well, it's got silver on the label. You can pour a little bit of that for me, Mark. I have a glass right here.
Where's my glass?
So, Jeff, did we answer most of your questions?
Yeah, I think so. I posted one question on YouTube. I think it was the latest review of the RX, and I actually asked the question to you and Johnny last week about the 450X. If now California is going away from the green sticker, does Honda potentially redesign their X? And you said, hey, just go with the RX, right?
Yes. So there's a bell on that thing too. We don't even have to say Husaberg. Careful, it pours really funny because of that weird shaped bottle. Johnny Campbell found that out a couple long episodes ago. So we're gonna answer our YouTube questions, and I'll answer that. Yep. I'll answer that question when we get there. So because it's a good question, I know the answer. And
awesome.
So, hey Jeff, thanks for being a viewer of the show. I appreciate it. And
good luck with the carb.
Yeah, good luck with it.
Thanks.
I hope that
I'll
Blue Coup rips for
coming.
you. Yeah. Okay. Sounds good. Thanks a lot.
Thanks. Yep. Bye.
Okay, that was Jeff Grazzo, our latest mega question asker. So if you have questions, we will help. So hopefully you know more about clutches and carbs. And one of our commenters up here said, Steve Mueller said, I used a collar from a T-shirt once.
Outside the box.
That's
there.
brilliant too. You think you could just cut your collar off the
Or
shirt?
a string on your pulley.
Yeah, you've got the material to stuff that clutch if you need to.
Get home.
Yeah, all you're trying to do at this point is get home. So cheers. Yeah, this is a Clase Azul, the Reposado. What? You do it like that? No, this is sipping stuff, Mark.
I sip nothing.
Okay, so
Ooh, that's good.
Mark, evidently you are an adventure rider.
I like to go on adventures. I'm on one right now. And that was a good adventure yesterday, the trails we went on. Some good riding.
That turned into a little bit of an adventure.
Yeah, it was. Total adventure.
So me and Mark, most of the times we've ridden in the last 20 years have been in the snow. We always end up crossing snow.
Always. It's weird.
Yeah, so it snowed on us yesterday.
I was a little underdressed, but it was good.
Yeah, I was dressed perfect. You know what kind of gear I wear? Climb. Yeah, good. Climb. I was perfectly layered up with some technical stuff underneath. I know everybody wants to know. They want to see me undressed, but I'm going to tell you how I dress. And don't think I'm so mean when I'm asking these people to email, like, what are you wearing? Because I'm really curious. So I had the Climb 1.0 underlayers on, both
It's all about the base layer.
upper body and lower body. I was wearing over that I'm wearing, actually it's more of a snow piece that they don't make anymore, but it's the Valdez Parka pullover. So it doesn't have a zipper in the front. And what I like about that is it has the little cuff inside the sleeve, so you can get your glove and everything tucked in there and no air sneaks up in there. I was using Climb Windstopper gloves. I wish I remember the name of the particular one, but they're not the heavy ones. They're the really light little Windstopper guys. We switched gloves. Luckily, you brought a second pair, right? Almost.
Almost. I thought about it. But let's talk about how we discovered right arm gets wetter than the left arm.
Right.
Remember?
Oh, so we're riding through freshly falling snow, and it's sticking to the trees but not sticking to the ground, and it was starting to bulk up on the trees. And so it's just like when you're riding in the morning and stuff, and Mark goes, I can't figure out like why my right side is so much wetter. And he looks at me and he goes, look, you're the same way. And I go, it's because when I'm riding through the trees, I'll take my hand off the handlebars, my left, because I don't need to touch the clutch, but I can't really let go of the throttle sometimes going through the trees. So I'll take my hand off the bars and dodge the bushes. So
you were cleaning up the trail nicely in front of me. So
yeah. The first guy always suffers in that, but I don't mind. Better than dust, but we didn't have that either.
We needed a chainsaw on the chainsaw trail.
This is true. Hey, you know what else we could have done? We should probably call Trevor and figure out about this. The hand rev. We have a question that was posed on one of our videos. It's why do you rev your bike and put your hand back by the muffler, like especially a two-stroke, like when you're at the track and you just start it up and warm it? Does anybody know?
Checking for moisture, warming the hands. Who knows? And
Yeah,
you can
but
do the crossover too, and do the right
the
right hand on the exhaust and
because
then rev with the left.
So yes, I've burnt my gloves before doing that on a four-stroke, like usually my gloves are soaking wet and I was using the heat of the four-stroke exhaust, and I've gotten to the point where it's steaming and all of a sudden, oh, look at the materials, ow, it's hot.
Melting to my hand.
Melting it off. And I don't like I'll touch a two-stroke pipe all the time. I will not touch a four-stroke pipe, even though even the mufflers,
more directed heat.
Yeah, the mufflers can get hot in certain areas depending on what kind of baffling's in them and everything. But I was touching the radiators a lot yesterday. Like when I would stop, I just like lay my fingers up on top of the radiators to get the tips warm. So
just the tip.
Just the tip. We have one other thing that Gronk's from Canada. You know about those people up there?
Yeah.
They live underground.
America's hat.
America's hat.
Canada is America's hat.
Yeah. They live underground, and I think they might get to start to come out pretty soon. But Gronk said,
I hope Radic doesn't come and beat my ass.
Repo Man's got all night, every night. Cheers. Cheers. Yeah.
Shall we?
Yep. Nice. Yeah, that's a cool flannel you're rocking, Mark.
Yeah. What's up, Brian?
And Michelle says she's not sure how she posted that, but she loves listening to all your tech talk.
All right, Michelle.
What do you think she's wearing?
Climb.
Climb. Sometimes I wear Climb to bed. I'll say that. Hey, Jimmy, you want to hear about adventure rider Mark Schneider? Okay, yeah, I do. Mark was enduro rider Mark Schneider. So we ended up going on an adventure. We got up to the top and we were going down the other side and we're like, it was cold up there and kind of wet and like, let's not ride. Let's do the long way. So, of course,
Never a good idea with Jimmy.
No, it's not that bad. We didn't know if we had enough gas, but I knew that we were going to go someplace where the phone worked, and I knew people I could call. But I was pretty sure we were going to be right on the edge. Didn't know about light, and so I kept telling Mark to leave. We need to kind of keep going, but he said, can I at least stop and take a piss?
Yeah.
I did let you.
Well, I let you too.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, everybody's got to pee.
Yeah, especially us old guys.
Yeah,
But getting home in the dark is pretty much standard issue with your rides.
well, we knew this.
Yeah,
Well,
I know that.
we lost a little bit of time because I had to go to the assessor's office and pay some taxes.
Oh yeah, I took a picture of that. I gotta send it to you. It's funny.
Part of my job, part of my thing. I had to go pay my taxes, and we got there, and of course they're closed 12 to 1. So we had to go to Ramiro's Mexican restaurant and have some tacos for lunch to kill the time. And Mark, we both made money gambling, and I don't gamble.
5 cents a bet.
Yeah, I made $3.
Yeah, I made a couple.
Yeah, so we killed it, and I went and paid my taxes, and then we went riding. And the reason we didn't just say, hey, let's go ride and come back is because I looked and said, well, they close at 5. There's no way we're going to be back by 5.
No way.
No way. So we got back at dark. Is Mark Schneider trying to get home, though? Elizabeth Schneider is asking this.
What's up, Mama?
He's probably sick of me already.
Yeah, I'm pretty homesick though. You know, I miss you and the dog
Yeah. And the squirrel?
and the squirrel. Oh,
And the
yeah.
picture of the deer that you showed me at your front door?
Yeah, it's at the back door. The deer comes in bags for pets. And yeah, let's talk about.
Moto packing fishing pole.
I don't know.
Dude, we did that on quads.
Oh.
We went fish bapping. Remember that?
Fish bapping story. Here we go.
No, we're not telling it.
Oh, it's
Nah.
a good one.
Well, if people want to hear quad, I mean, this show can degrade to anything.
Yeah.
And me and Mark went on a 4-day adventure on quads over the Rubicon Trail,
Yep.
and we camped in the best spots. We were the only ones that were catching fish,
Yep.
and the Jeepers were pissed off because quads those times were like insects.
They were like the
They hated
side
us.
by sides of today.
Yeah, side by sides of today, except just worse. I mean, we were riding those retard chariots like kings.
Yes. And
Yeah.
I think I was the only one that didn't have it. It was right when 4x4 on quads was coming out. And I think I had the only 2 rear wheel drive quad.
Oh, okay, yours didn't have 4-wheel drive. Yeah, because I know we had a Suzuki that had like a whole shifting pattern thing.
And we learned a lesson about putting butter in your ice chest. You remember?
Oh, everything was destroyed. Everything in our ice chest was
I
destroyed.
think the beers were opening up themselves in there. And anyways, good times.
So you're fishing all the time.
Yeah, I love to pack my little packing fishing pole when I go like on adventure rides and overnight and just go by the stream, catch a couple fish, cook them over the fire, eat like a caveman, you know?
Yeah. Inversion glove. Inversion glove was the climb glove I rode.
That's right.
I
Thanks,
should know
Brian.
these things. Thanks. Yeah. Oh, Atomic Moto. This is Brian?
Yeah, Brian Price. He's a Bend local, running out his Atomic Moto out of Bend.
Okay.
Good deals on, yeah.
Shout out to Atomic Moto.
Yeah.
If you're in Bend, around Bend, need some help, especially if you're an adventure rider just cruising through.
Mm-hmm.
I go to Mark's house because I know I can get my moose that was improperly installed repaired with a we just took a
Knockoff
tube, right?
tires, new tube, yeah.
Yeah, we came out like kings that
On
time.
the Cove. that
Cove,
time.
yeah. Inversion glove. So yeah, the climb inversion glove. It's it's my favorite. Michelle, she's back.
All right.
What type of GPS tracker would you recommend? I do a lot of Arizona and California desert riding, looking for something that is easy to swap to different bikes. Michelle, were you the Michelle that was watching the show back when we used to do it more regular? Back like I don't know, a year ago. There was a girl from Arizona that was watching the show, and I'm like, what's wrong with her?
What do you think? InReach?
So that's the question. Are you looking for a GPS tracker, or are you looking for a GPS unit like a Voyager, Voyager Pro or a Garmin, some sort of a Garmin device? Are you looking for something that you can load track logs in and follow it, or are you looking at something that sends up your signal to the satellite and tells other people where you're at?
Two totally different things.
Yeah. Now Garmin has one that's all in one. So I don't know the numbers of the Garmin stuff. Frankly, I hate Garmin stuff, kind of like I hate Apple stuff, because they have their own call it operating systems. And I mean, I know how to use an iPhone and I understand this, but you can't get in. Tracker logs. I'm going to say if you're looking for a motorcycle specific GPS that's easy to swap, you do a Voyager Pro, and you mount it on a RAM ball, and then you use a RAM mount, or actually even better, the double take mirrors new setup can clamp onto the RAM ball that you can bolt on the back of the Voyager mount, and you want to use the aluminum dock, and it's not cheap, but it's the simplest one to operate once you're using. And if you're riding with a couple people, and this is what pushes the Voyager over the top, if you're riding with a couple people and you both have units, you can use buddy tracking, and you don't have to stop at turns, because if I'm riding in front of Mark, I can literally leave a track log for him. His unit picks up exactly where I went, and he can follow the track log actively while we're riding.
And if it's a group ride, you put one in the front, one in the back.
Yep.
And make
or
sure.
Well, then the guy in the middle can go the wrong way. But when we do a group ride, we put 5 or 6 guys in there, and you can literally look. I can be as the ride leader. I can look back as long as I have radio contact, radio length contact. I can look back and I see that everybody's moving and going the right way. And if somebody takes off and goes the wrong way, I have mine set up so they're leaving a track log. And if I see a line going off of where I went, I'm like, uh-oh.
Yep.
Yeah,
Better
what's
go
this guy?
chase 'em.
Yeah, what's this guy doing? So, if you're not going to use the buddy tracking, the Voyager becomes a little bit on the pricey side overall. You can buy much cheaper units. You can actually, if you can take your old phone.
Avenza.
Yeah, you can use Avenza. You can use Gaia. You can use all these different apps that are literally free. And at that point, there's not a real reason to have a motorcycle GPS. And if you take the time to wire your bike up properly, you can also check your coolant temperature with the thing. It can show the voltage that's coming into the bike.
Tell you the weather.
RPM. Yeah, RPM. Yeah. So hopefully
how
that
hot your muffler is.
well, yeah, you can put a temperature. The temperature sensor can go to anything. Yep. So Ski Mom wants to know, DJ Rollin' Dust hits the vinyl too. I see him catch a fish.
Yeah, that's my DJ name, DJ
Rollin' Dust.
And so that came from actually riding. And when you're flat out across a valley and you.
Oh, it's not because you're not sprinkling some of the stuff on top of the stuff inside of the thing.
No,
it's the twisties.
You look in your mirror and all you see is a dust cloud.
Dust cloud. Okay.
You're rolling dust.
Right on.
That's.
I've met Dave and Carol before. They came here. They were on a little ride about. They were kind of doing what you're doing, just wandering around.
Yeah,
they showed up in like a cab over thing with the bikes, and I think they're actually, you know what? I think they were actually in a U-Haul van because they had a problem.
Yeah, I think they rode down and U-Hauled back.
Okay.
Rode from Bend to Vegas area.
Yeah. That might be it. Dan Kibble has a question. What does he want to know? Can you read that?
No, barely. He's in Austria.
Mm-hmm.
You can get a low mileage African Twin KTM 1090, 1290 for around $6,800 US, and KTM Tenere for around $8,100.
I tried to make the text bigger. I'm going to try right now one more time here. Hold on a second, because I see you don't look like Logan. There we go. Look at that. What a technical.
Wow. He's just looking for a bike and looking for a deal. What's the best
read his
deal?
question. Does an AT or a KTM 1090 with suspension sorted hold a candle to an 890 or Tenere for adventure riding, not enduro for an expert level rider? or spend the extra on the Tenere. In Australia, Aus.
Australia.
Well, in Aus. Okay,
Yeah,
is that
long-
Austria or Australia? I know which one it is.
It's
But
it's Australia, isn't it?
hey, you've gotta realize that we're dumb, and you give us 3 letters, and we're just gonna run with it.
Yeah.
The Aus,
Long transport sections, meaning lots of tarmac.
tarmac. Yeah.
Yuck.
So
Pavement is lava.
okay, so here's Jimmy's take, and this is no bullshit, because there's so many guys out there that just when they open their mouth, especially on the YouTubes, they're just
diarrhea.
that's a big giant turd. All of the adventure bikes are pretty much the same when it comes to overall suspension. They're built more for adventure riding comfort than they are for smashing into things. And I have not ridden a production adventure bike that you can just smash into things like a dirt bike, period.
Right.
And if you want to fix that problem, you nor I have enough money. I have ridden, probably one of the few people, they're still alive, ridden and raced factory twin-cylinder rally bikes, which is what everybody dreams that their Tenere, their KTM 890, their KTM 1090, their KTM 950,
H1.
their BMW, whatever it is. That's what everybody dreams these things should be. Those bikes, you could almost slam into something.
You just need to get a lighter, smaller bike if you want to do that.
Yeah, but he wants an adventure bike. But so this is the thing. If you ask me, which one can you slam into things the best on? Which one will handle it best? I think that overall the KTM, especially the 790 platform, is the best one at slamming into things. On the converse of that, it's also the least comfortable adventure bike out there as far as comfort. I personally ride a Tenere. Yamaha sponsors this show. There's a big correlation between me riding a Tenere and Yamaha sponsoring this show. And it was because I'd been riding KTM adventure bikes for a long time. I couldn't get along with that platform. I rode a Tenere and said, this thing's bitching. And because it has just enough bottom resistance, and I can ride it just that much more aggressive. Plus, there's not a lot of buttons, and it's just so analog simple. It just works. And then I fought a lot with the KTM 790 at the time. I still do with the 890. And so you go to Africa Twin. The Honda fits on the more comfortable side of the spectrum. We have some videos up on Dirt Bike Tests where we talk about Africa Twin. We haven't done one for a while. We did the Transalp 750. We talk about that. They tend to be a little bit more on the comfort, less in the smash into things side. And like I said, none of them smash into things that well.
It's all suspension, really, right? I mean,
it's
most of it.
And you just,
I mean, they're street bikes.
they're street bikes, and they're trying to use
them.
suspension components that just don't have the. I mean, I know what was on my factory bike, and I rode a factory KTM twin-cylinder bike, all right? And I've ridden a lot of heavy, bikes with a lot of different suspension on it. Everything about the race bikes is different than the production bikes, so you're never going to get that. And I wouldn't want to ride the BMW. My BMW is actually pretty good on the street. I kid you not, but you don't have that level of money,
Right.
and the bike is substantially lighter than what you're riding. So
Factory.
yeah, so it's
a fine line between comfort and durability, right?
and all the bikes you're listing there. I think the 1090, the KTM 1090, is a really good all around. I still have one.
Huh.
I have a 1090, I have a 1190, I have a 950, I have a Tenere.
Seen him.
Yeah, they're all there. The 1090 is probably the best compromise in there. And the good thing is it's freaking fast compared to a Tenere or a KTM. The 890 is actually pretty close to the 1090.
What about the 990 SE when that came out, the Super Enduro? Did you ride one of those?
Yeah, quite a bit. I wanted to buy one. It's they're
Cha-ching.
yeah, carburetors.
Yeah.
That's the there you go.
So if they fuel injected that,
if it
Super
had
Enduro?
the last year, if it was built around the last year KTM 990, The one they called the 990 Baja. They built the Super Enduro around that. That would be a really nice bike.
Let's do it. Let's make one of those builds.
I don't need another motorcycle.
He's got thousands.
Yeah, lots of bike. John Perkins, who's also been a host on this show, busy working, but we are about to go see a DBT test on the. When are we going to see on the CDX boots? Well, I don't know. They haven't sent any to me. I love CD boots, but this is the first time they've offered their premier boot in a size 15 for us big guys. Oh, so you're asking
15.
for a free set of boots? Did you see how sly?
Yeah.
He just asked for a free set of boots. He has tested stuff for dirt bike tests before. He could potentially get a set of size 50. You know what?
You're gonna need an extra
John,
cow.
if I ever saw you that much, he actually loaned me his little kids, to test our little TTRs.
There you go.
Yeah, they just rode them, and it's like, hey, you need to do photos, and they just rode them, come over here. And they just kept riding, and then he stopped them, and then they cried, and he says, you got to go nearer the camera, and then he took off and rode, and I got
run out of gas.
I got a couple
Reminds me
good
of my
photos,
childhood.
and we answered Michelle's question. Thanks a bunch. Hopefully, yeah, good. I like that. Mike Kmet, remember KMET?
Oh yeah.
I don't know if that's what his name comes from.
Little bit of heaven. 4.7.
Atomic Moto's the bomb.
They are. They got some good prices.
You read that.
Dude's the Moto boot guru. He is. He loves his boots, and he loves doing tutorials on there. Worth going to Ben for them. Bought a couple pair there, and the beer and the riding. The beer, they got like 25 breweries in the county. Holy mackerel.
Yep. So Ski Mum says,
Yes, Jimmy, you generously provided some shade and a piece of cardboard for walks to change our tires. Everybody needs a man to change the tires. Jimmy tried to get me on the Rabaconda, but
Mark was walking around here going, dude, do you need help? Because I'm like squirrel brains and running around like going all different directions. Do you need help? And I said, well, I got some tires to change. He's like, mooses, I'm not very good.
yeah, I don't have the experience that you do, but let's see.
Dan Kibble says, not sure if you got the Tenere World Raid in the USA. No, we didn't. But maybe that's the halfway point between the KTM's aggression and the Africa Twins' comfort. It's the balance of safety and comfort. Cheers for responding. Hey, Dan, that's why we do this show. If I had ridden the World Raid, I could tell you this, but I don't know. I haven't.
Would like to.
Yeah. Oh no, I like to ride it. On my personal Tenere, I was happy with the stock suspension, but I did some suspension testing and development for TourTech, and TourTech has some options for rear shocks, and they have I think in mine right now, all I have is a fork spring kit, and did some testing for them, and we have a really good setting. The shock I'm running, and they have, if you want to smash into stuff, they have a shock for that. And if you want a really comfortable one that has extra bottoming resistance, they have one of those too. And then I helped them. We altered some of the settings for this fork spring and oil level and stuff like that. So Ski Mum wants to know.
Oh man, how did we meet? I think it was
when and where did you two meet?
First turn, Mammoth. Your second.
I was winking at you.
Your second.
While I was laying on the ground.
Did you break 2 collarbones at Mammoth?
No, I got knocked out the second time.
Yeah.
In the first turn on the 250 intermediate class.
There, or it was like a Transcal or Golden State Series. And
I think we just parked next to you a couple times.
Yeah.
You know, we'd park next to you at races, and we just kind of got to know each other.
And then I may or may have not told you to come desert racing.
Oh, dude, you wouldn't stop.
Yeah.
You wouldn't stop. Yeah. You and I don't remember. There was some of my friends were riding the family enduros,
right?
And some of the district enduros,
that
mostly
was me.
family
I was
enduros.
district guy, and
yeah,
and then you went and rode an enduro first, and then desert.
Yeah, and it took a long time to do desert. I did enduros for a long time, and you're like, dude, do desert, and I'm like everybody you tell about desert. Like, how many guys start and go wide open across the desert to the bomb? The bomb, yeah,
yeah, which is the most undescribable feeling in the world. It's to do a banner drop mass start. I tell you, there's nothing like it.
Yep.
It shuts your mind off.
So we met because Mark would just go with a couple of his motocross buddies from the valley.
Yeah. And
you would show up. You wouldn't even race, would you?
No, I wasn't racing the motocross. I was
you just kind of hanging out. Yeah, hanging out with those guys. Because it was because I was younger and I was always there with my dad. but you were a bunch of dudes that were all just, it was like 5 or 6 friends that were driving out, all just a little bit older than me.
Yeah, we would race. They would race the motocross on Saturday, and sometimes we'd hustle out to the desert race on Sunday.
Okay.
You know,
Yep. Yeah, because I remember your bike had a big fucking
Big
beluga
tank.
gas tank on it. Like, what the hell's that for? It's like, dude, desert racers, you need one of these.
so I've never taken a desert tank off any bike. You know what I mean? You know, some people swap them and
Yeah.
stuff. It's like I take the stock tank off.
I
and
would.
It's gone.
Yeah, I would. I really try not to ride tracks with the big tanks. I
Yeah.
mean, I will if I have
Throws
to.
you off your suspension and everything.
No, it's just I don't know. I mean, I have a KTM 500 that's set up to go super tight single track riding where I know I'm not going to do it. But literally, people come out here, they go, want to go ride and look at their tank, and I go, you can't.
Yeah. What's your range? That's my other question. My first question.
It's called a big tank ride.
Yeah.
You're gonna. Here's how it works. Really simple. If you go riding with me, you're gonna run out of one of 3 things, and you can do something about 2 of them. The other one I can't help you. You will run out of gasoline. So have a big tank on your bike, carry some extra gas, whatever. That's simple, okay? You will run out of daylight. They make these things called headlights. You have a headlight, you're going to be able to get your ass out. Those 2 things usually aren't too. You will run out of energy in your body. I kind of saw it happen a little bit.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
then chode on trail.
Yeah, and then that's on you. You should. I always say know your size.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, we just met at the local Indian Dunes or at God, we're doing the Transcals Huron Cycle Park, and where else do they race those things? Did
And
you
then-
drive all the way up to Marysville? Did you ever do those
Yeah,
ones?
I think we did. And
Sandhill Ranch.
and then we were hanging out at the ranch over there in Somas, and we were making YSR 50 pipes in your garage.
Yeah. Yep.
We're well nut pipes for little YSR 50s. And
Yeah, because Rodney had a couple of those things, right?
me and John,
Everybody had.
We had a big gang of them.
Yeah, and you were seizing those things up, going like we got them up to like 80 miles an hour with
Yeah.
just a pipe.
Yeah, and high gearing, and we'd go out on the
Seizing them on the 118 freeway. Call me up the next morning, dude. They all seized, and I'm like, yeah, I told you that pipe. Like, you're not supposed to hold it wide open.
yeah.
Yeah.
Good times, good times.
Yeah, welding. I remember I was ordering up air cone. I was ordering up from Las Vegas. It'd take like a week for my. I go, oh, and then we changed the shape a little bit and changed something because you guys come
Expansion
back.
chamber,
Yeah.
bigger and smaller.
Oh, we were killing it with
good
those
times.
things. Bob Yellis says hand purple blue piece. I should call Trevor and find out about the hand revving.
Yeah, I don't know what you're talking about, Bob.
That's a robot. It's an AI.
No, that's Bob. That's my riding buddy, and that's
Oh, so Jimmy Tyler couldn't call back. We were trying to do a sound check, and we needed a monkey to answer the phone. So Jimmy Tyler, this is Logan's dad, has a good excuse. He says, I won't call you back because I know you're busy. Smart, yeah. Unlike my wife, I'm
Always.
surprised she hasn't called yet. Was actually out riding. That's the only excuse that we'll take on this show
double thumbs
for not answering the thing. What happened to all of our repo man? Because
I know.
you know what, Jimmy? The more you ride, the less intelligent you are. Cheers. So
ordinary people. I hate them.
really,
Okay, what do we got? Yeah, CD Crossfire.
what do we got? Almost an empty.
I know.
Yeah.
Where's the cooler?
Did you run out?
Yeah, that's
Oh,
it.
jeez. I got other stuff here. We have that tall bottle of stuff. You're just supposed to sip it.
Yep.
I'm empty too. Here, you can fill that one up for me.
I'm not having no more tequila unless you want to wrestle.
Bob Yellis,
Yeah.
hand purple blue piece. I'll bet you that was an emoji.
Yeah.
Is what he tried to do.
Yeah, Bob's special.
And then Atomic Moto says, John, you just need to drive up to Bend, Oregon, and he's got all the CDs for you, and he's into boots. Does he have a foot fetish?
Possibly.
Possibly. Okay, because I know that's a thing. Heard about this. Anthony Zucca,
A comfortable foot fetish.
our
How about
electric bike expert, says most comfortable super budget adventure bike. KLR.
The Swiss Army knife of bikes.
Yeah, he got it right. It was his first thing. Air Oil GSA 1200 or something else. So I guess what it comes down to is sort of that you cannot go wrong with a KLR. It's just period.
They keep going. Energizer bunnies.
It does nothing great. It does. It's just a standard issue motorcycle with a big gas tank on it. It's got a big comfortable seat. It goes. It's durable as all hell.
As long as it's not the diesel version.
Yeah, we had a guy try to ride Nora on one of those last year.
That's pretty awesome, though. For you got to
He
give him
didn't-
props, right?
Yeah.
Just for trying.
Well, also a guy showed up with street tires on his XR 400.
Ooh, interesting.
Yeah, that's exactly what I saw when I saw this. Interesting. So, yeah, and then when you get in the used market, you can find some gems. I mean, there's a lot of guys that dump a lot of money into their adventure bikes. They buy all the latest, greatest, make some really trick bikes, and if you can buy that bike with all of the stock parts included, that's usually a big win. Because there's also somebody else that wants to trick out their older bike, just like yours, and you put those up on eBay, you can almost get half of your purchase price back. If I had more time, if I was almost retired, Mark, I would buy up used adventure bikes that are all tricked out, put them back to stock, and sell the parts on eBay.
That is an awesome idea.
Yeah. Well, thank you. Yeah. If I were retired.
I'll sip it. Okay.
Yeah. It's just
I want you
it's
to
a
piss you
sipper.
off.
Yeah.
It's like candy.
Bob says, "What are?"
I told you not to ask about the 690, Bob.
Oh, you know this guy?
Oh yeah, he's a riding buddy of mine, and always has a smile on his face.
Yeah.
It could be
Is
storming.
he poking the bear? Did you preload this question?
No, I told him my thoughts on the 690, but
What are your thoughts?
it's like probably a KLR on steroids, right? I mean, it's a little better of a KLR. What do you think about that?
No, it's way better. Everything about it is way
Okay.
better than a KLR.
Bam, there you go.
The price is way higher than a KLR.
Yeah.
It's just it
His-
has
his-
such a bitchin' motor.
Yeah.
It has a really good motor, and then they put it in this chassis that just doesn't know what it's trying to do, and it's got a really short shock, so you're never going to get it to work properly.
Okay.
Off road, adventure bike riding, just putting around, perfect, great. But then you go, well, I only have small gas tank, so then you have to start bolting gas tanks all over the place.
That damn
the
back
only
gas tank. Ugh.
the only one of those bikes that I would give a kind of it's acceptable, and it's not to say it's acceptable means that it would meet my
The one with the big gas tank.
the Husky Long Range LR.
Okay.
That one the 701 LR. Whatever they did to put that weight on the front of the bike made it act properly, because there was always something with the dirt handling that was off, and there's something with the street handling that's off. It just, and I don't know if it's just putting gas in the back, but I rode an AJP, which is a Portuguese brand, and it has a gas tank in the back, and that thing works really good. So, yeah.
Gas weight distribution is
so
a huge deal on those type of bikes.
Bob, I hate the 690. Would you like to buy an XR 650, by the way?
Yeah.
I've got one of those for sale. And that's what that bike dreamed of being.
So Bob is actually famous for his XR 650.
Oh.
And he went to the KTM 690 from an XR.
Why would you do that?
Yeah. We'll
Yeah.
try to get him on another one, but let's see.
Yeah, well, you want to take it home. We'll just strap it to your hood.
Yeah.
Yeah. We got that door spring in.
Yeah. Oh man, that was some engineering.
That's Jimmy rigging.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
And
Mark-
it was partially Mark.
It was-
Mark Guyver.
Mark Guyvered? Yeah, yeah. So,
Okay, what do we got here?
what's the next question? Atomic Moto has a question.
Jimmy, time for some story. You've been around the industry. Tell us about the time when you blew up, thrashed, or wadded a manufacturer's bike.
Man, that's a good.
Which time?
Which time? I never. I mean, I don't think I ever did it like on purpose or
Oh,
anything
no.
like this. Did I?
We never thrashed demo bikes because
No, I
biting the hand that feeds you, right?
From day one when I got into this industry, I was around. I started in the Fran Kuhn, Tom Webb, Mike Webb, early days of my thing. I would call those guys like maybe second or third generation It may be third because it kind of started with Rick Simon. Rick Simon kind of brought the dirt bike magazine thing. There was always Cycle Guide and Cycle World that were testing dirt bikes, but Rick was the original dirt bike magazine. Super hunky. I have his book right over there.
I saw it.
And so I was around these guys, and at that time they were really trying to take testing seriously, except, and Fran's the exception in that list. They didn't want to work. They just wanted to ride dirt bikes.
Right.
And I really felt like I'm one of those dudes. Fran wanted to get the best photo. Fran was a photographer to a fault where he wanted to do photos. But this is why I got my kind of break, because he realized that I had actually studied the art of photo modeling on a motorcycle. And so he knew that I could hit the same line. And so anyway, long story longer.
What about the roost berm shot photo that you patented?
No, I didn't. No, I stole that from Motocross Action.
Did you?
That
Okay.
was a shit. Lance Morwood was doing that back in the day. I looked at every magazine and I knew every Jimmy Hawley photo. These guys, Kenny Zart. I wanted to be those guys. I'm like, how do I get to be that guy on the cover of the magazine kind of thing? Probably like girls right now, they want to be on the cover. I still want to be in the cover of Motocross Action, actually. I just got to get myself an orange helmet.
Yep.
Jody just will not have it. Although, maybe when he's gone, I can slide in there a little bit. I got some ins, some of those guys. I can still bust a berm, no jumping. So, okay, so did I thrash a bike? There were times when we were allowed to try to blow things up because the manufacturer, like the bike maybe had a history of being not durable.
No VIN number.
No, they had VIN numbers and stuff like that. They would say, go ahead and try to thrash it, ride it really hard. But I treated it like it was my own, but we never did something stupid like let the oil out of it and ride it or just hold it wide open.
Yeah.
We would hold it wide open like, going down a road and like, can it blow up? There was a KTM that was notoriously famous for seizing, and we tried to seize it, and it didn't seize unless you did something stupid. But did we ever really super thrash anything?
A couple mini bikes.
Well, my own personal stuff.
Oh, yeah.
I did all the time. But did I wad one? So probably my worst one was the first Nevada rally. Had a Kawasaki KLX 650, and I geared it so tall that the clutch was always slipping. Jeff Graffo, are you listening? I geared the bike so tall that when it was in fifth or sixth, I don't remember how many speeds in the transmission, probably a 6-speed. When I was holding it wide open, that thing made too much power to pull. It couldn't put all that power through the transmission and it would slowly slip and it would overheat the clutch. And then, well, it would do it so slowly. I mean, it would still go kind of fast, but the clutch material would then go into the motor and into places it shouldn't be, and then it would cause the motor to blow up. So it would plug oil journals basically, and there. So that, I think, was the only one that I really know that I would say I totally thrashed. I blew up like 4 of them in the Nevada rally. I think one a day or
That's a lot.
we kept throwing motors into it.
Yeah.
I think technically I finished, but I don't know how the hell. So
Carol wants to know what desert racers have I done and how did I get into desert racing? So that's my dad was a desert racer and kind of grew up out there. And I think we wanted to talk about some of the old school desert racing things we used to do to our bikes.
Trevor tried to write a story about old school desert racing to pay for a free race entry. Mm-hmm. It was horrible. He was suffering trying to come up with a point about how it worked, and I'm like, do some history on the check chase, the Hare and Hounds, and the Desert MC, like, and it. I don't know. I don't even know where it went. It's up on Dirt Bike Test, I think. There's a story up there.
And that was back in a time when there was 800-900 people in the 250 novice class.
There was a time Chris Crandall won the check chase, and he told me he stopped and rested. He stopped and took his helmet off and rested. He could see the check, but he knew how hard it was going to be. So it kind of reminds me of what we were trying to do with King of the Motos. But like there was times when desert races, I mean, like how bitching it would have been to done the check chase to the river.
Right. My dad did it twice.
Yeah. I got lucky enough to be able to do Barstow to Vegas. Well,
Right.
we know we have a Mark had a car.
Yeah, I got in a car wreck chasing on that on one of them.
Yeah.
And then I got a bunch of Barstow to Vegas stories.
Yeah, so to do Barstow to Vegas and then the open areas were much larger. They could go different. The 4 Aces, your club.
Yeah.
They used to put
one
on
of
that
them.
race. One of your
Yeah, I've been in.
You did a lot of clubs?
Yeah, I was like when I was younger. My dad was in the Antelope Ramblers MC,
Okay.
and that was it from Antelope Valley. And then we went when they disbanded. We went into the 4 Aces,
Okay.
and then as kids, they didn't let kids race in District 37, so we went to CRC and DRA Desert, and we were in clean sweep racing team. Ed Waldheim was president.
Okay.
And then I went kind of back to the 4 Aces and then got out of it for a while and got back into the Viewfinders, which I'm a member, an inactive member today.
Okay.
So that's a kind of, I got all the jerseys up on my wall. It's kind of cool.
Right. And so you were just moving from club to club. This is before you were married, to where all the girls were at.
No, not necessarily the girls, where they would pit me.
Well, because you used to hang at our pit.
Oh,
'cause
yeah,
we had
VCMC.
lots of girls coming over to our place.
VCMC, yeah.
The Brohams.
Oh man,
Yeah,
that's a whole nother episode.
we could play
Are
videos.
those guys still alive?
Oh yeah.
Do you have the couch on fire video?
Oh yeah.
Oh man,
You burnt your hand that pretty bad that time. You've done some really stupid shit, Mark.
Oh yeah, stupid is as stupid does. That's what happens when you mix tequila, fire,
Let's see. Yeah.
and dirt bikes.
Oh, what do you do while your buddy riding 650 fumbles removing luggage to fill up?
Oh, I could just ride a novel.
Oh, because his gas tank is.
Yeah, taking off gear. That just used to piss me off.
I never got that deep in 690 world that to have to do that. A lot of the guys that when we were riding and doing some whether photo shoots or riding or going on different things, they had 690s had bought those accessory tanks that fill up at the front, and I can't really bitch too much because they fill up at the front and have to bleed to the back. But my Husabergs always had, because they use so much gas. Have I ever told you how powerful those things are? Power does not come without gas consumption. In a Husaberg, you had to replace the subframe with an auxiliary fuel tank. It was shaped exactly the same.
Oh, wow.
And so you'd have to fill the gas tank up, and you'd have to wait for it to bleed back down into the back gas tank. So, Bob, you're not that far off. And he says, well, there's a pro tip for you, Mark.
Friends with big gas tanks are the best kind of friends, especially when you're out of gas.
Yeah. John says a KLR is as good as it gets. No reason to look further. Let's see. Oh no! Oh, Gronk.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is gonna finish this beer can's about to explode. Gronk says it happens sometimes. People just explode.
Natural causes. That's awesome. We're probably
That's one of the best lines.
yeah. It's pretty good. Let's go do some crimes.
Yeah. Well, be careful. Somebody be pissing on the floor again. I don't have any more beers left in this house. Oh, you know what? No, you'd have to go out to the shop. I have Montucky cold snacks.
I got some out in my camper.
Yeah, that's a long trip. So actually, we're not getting the emojis in. It's actually putting the texts in
Face.
for those.
Yeah.
So, Mark Guyver, Adventure Rider.
Yeah.
Let's see. Dave Walks. Don't forget Dick Burleson and his trail tips.
Yep. I remember that in the mag. What mag was that?
It was in Dirt Rider.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it was before my time. I got to ride with Dick a few times. And I remember I thought that because Dick's 8-time national enduro champion, and I always, because I grew up in the desert and we don't have big trees, but when I had the opportunity to like ride around trees, I loved hopping over logs. Like I really liked hopping over logs to a fault almost. And so I know exactly how big of a log I can go over before I do an endo, on the backside and all these different things. And I got into a hopping over a log contest with Dick Burleson, and it was probably a bad thing because he's got really short legs. He's a small guy. And we started getting up to where you had to kind of be able to keep the front end up a little bit when it went down the other side if you hooked up and went over. And I won. But I felt bad. But that guy would not back down, and we were doing some pretty we were up in Michigan, up in the UP. So it actually wasn't a single big log. There we found one single big log that's what kind of started it. It was like he was just sitting there, and we were kind of waiting for the group or something like that. And it was somebody said, "Hey, can you ride over that?"
Point.
Yeah, can you ride over that? And I'm like, yeah. And it was for sure I was going to eat shit, but I pulled it off. And then it was like, oh, then it was on. Because there was a couple, it was like a Moose Gear, like intro ride or something.
AAs.
There was some guys there. And you had no idea how much I'd practiced this shit. And then we got to points where there was like 3 logs stacked up kind of a thing with a good fall on the backside. And yeah,
Leg breaker.
I thought somebody was going to get hurt.
Yeah. How about
including myself.
Snow-covered logs? We did a couple of those. It changes the game.
Dude, how slippery are our logs here?
Oh, pretty slippery.
Yeah, I think
Is that hardwood, mesquite, or whatever?
Yeah, it's so hard it doesn't get sticky.
Or like there's a layer between the bark. You know what I mean?
No, there was no bark on those things. The bark was all peeled off. But
Slick.
you do not want to touch them at all, like with your front tire, because you're going sideways.
How did you like riding my new bike?
Dude, so
20,
I want to talk
24.
about this. This is actually pretty cool. So every single gas 2-stroke I've ridden is better than every Husky or KTM.
Wow.
In the engine performance.
That's a bold statement.
In
Cotton.
the engine, in the very first time I rode a gas 300 EC, I'm like, what did they do different? Like, what's different about this bike? And this was at a KTM intro it was a gas intro where they had all the gas. They wanted the media to come out and ride all the different gases. And I rode the 300 Enduro around. And I came back and I asked the guy who was now going to be in charge of the gas brand for the U.S. And I said, how come? I go, this is good. I go, what's different? He goes, it's exactly the same as the KTM. I go, it's not.
Liar.
And he goes, no, they're exactly the same. And I go, no, maybe I said, what's different about this? I don't think I told him it was better. He said it's exactly the same as the KTM. And I go, well, what's different? And he's done nothing. So I go, it's different. So I actually wrote that. I said, they told me it was absolutely the same as the KTM. But I wrote that it had better throttle response, and the way that the power valve and everything worked, it was better. And after inquiring with somebody else that knew better, yes, there was some different stuff in there. It was a different ECU mapping, and I think there was something slightly different with the power valve timing, like a spring combination. And it was good. And so I've ridden the newer Husky, same year as yours, and the newer KTM, same year as yours. Yours is better. Yours has better.
Snappy.
Yours has better throttle response. I like it.
Yeah.
Did you like mine?
Besides it sounded a little clapped out and rattly. You know, I mean.
Oh, that was just the handlebar. That was that one thing up in the handlebar.
But the power came on different. That's for sure. A little different. You seem to wind it up a little more. It wasn't instant.
No, it's really
Smoother.
slow.
Yeah, it's like it had a flywheel weight or something on it.
It doesn't. It's just
that's what it felt like.
it's the way I have the power valve tuned, because I can't when I make it snappy with adjusting the power valve and stuff, and it'll never get as crisp as yours. It kind of deadens it, and then it kind of gets a little bit too much of a hit, and I don't like that. So yeah, no, your bike was good. Suspension harsh initially, and then it moved too quick too far through the stroke when I would hit something. And bottoming was okay, but by the time it slowed down, it was too deep into the stroke. And if I hit a second thing, I wouldn't like that. I don't know if you notice mine is like it's got that kind of like factory level. That's that Kreft suspension. There's about $3,000 worth of stuff inside of that.
Yeah, mine was M9. Darren Mees did my suspension.
Yeah. So yeah, and it wasn't bad. Your bars are a little high for me, and a couple little things. Your seat was full up because you got a big freaking tank on it, Mark. Big tank, Mark.
Yeah, big tank.
Which we needed every bit of it.
I was on empty.
Yeah, we were lucky. We're lucky we got to the gas station.
What was the range? How many miles did we go?
I don't know. My odometer didn't work again.
That's right.
And the hour meter.
I didn't look.
Yeah, my hour meter, my odometer. So I've got a really low mile 300 that has a lot of time and miles on it. It's the thing. Go get the beer. So I used to have a commercial break that I could play on this show, and I know we could get it out there. Oh, what the hell? I'll do it. I'll do it for my old sponsor. But I'm gonna get to the Jameson Moses thing. Helicoil or time cert? For me, it depends on the application. They're kind of the time cert would be the more Santa way if you have a precise way to drill it. I don't know. It's kind of what you have. Half the time, it's just the cheap, the cheap thread certs that I'm stuffing inside of things. Especially when it's small stuff. But it's application. I need to get some more time certs. Well, thank you for supporting our sponsors. Those are our old sponsors, but we have lots of new sponsors coming on board all the time. Big shout out to Yamaha for helping us out. DDC Sprockets was our first sponsor ever, and Mark is finally back. Oh, you're bringing me? You got a Rainier?
No.
Oh, wow! Can't bring anything good down here, can you? So
B-E-W-R-U-N,
beer run. So there's a couple things. It's a good thing I did the commercial break. I could get myself back on track here. The one thing I did wanted to talk about, and nobody could explain the hand revving here. What the hello? There's a lot of stuff here.
It's like a Hellas lager. It's all they're all Hellas hops.
All light lagers.
Yeah.
Okay, so I wanted to talk about some piston stuff here. And the reason is because I have these three different pistons from KTM 300s, and they have some different things done to them. So I'm gonna use my my special camera here that I have right over here. You know when the sound used to be bad on the show, Mark? We used to pull these things out, and we would we had three-way calling.
Does that actually work?
The line on the string? Yeah, if you put it... Well, I can put it like this. I can talk in it. You got to pull it tight. No, I got to talk in this one. Pull it tight.
Yeah.
It works, doesn't it?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, so, when the show goes to crap, we just plug that into the internets and it fixes all of our problems. So, and right after that, we're going to get to our YouTube questions that I have called up here from the many hours of YouTube videos that you guys have consumed that... helps. Hey, really, go subscribe to our stinking channel because you have no idea how many times these people that want to advertise with us ask, how many YouTube videos subscribers do you have? And we have a very low amount of subscribers, but we have a really high amount of video watches, which doesn't make sense to them. And you know what that means?
Money.
No, it means our videos are actually pretty good.
All right.
Is this the one I want?
I don't know. They're all kind of the same. I haven't tried any of these.
This is from the world's oldest brewery. I've been there. It's in Munich, right?
There you go.
Brewed in Bavaria. Yeah, I've been there before. When I was doing stuff with BMW. So, okay. So back to the pistons. Elizabeth Schneider says this is the most motorcycle words I have ever listened to. Insert big eyes emojis here. Well, is she going to be out in the garage like tuning with you pretty soon?
I don't think so.
You don't think so? Well,
she'll be playing with her squirrel.
She'll know all about pistons here in a few minutes. Mm-hmm. That's the way it goes.
Sandy the Douglas squirrel.
Sandy the Douglas squirrel. Okay. So I'm going to use the emergency cam here and show you. This is, so I kind of, you ever notice I have a lot of stuff? Mm-hmm. I keep things. So this is a 130-hour KTM 300 piston. This is the way it came out of my 2019 KTM 300 TPI bike, and so I'm kind of spinning around and showing you. And don't mind the don't mind the little scratches there. That's from probably like rattling around. But this was the stock piston that came out of the bike. I rode it 130 hours, and what I did was when I looked up in the exhaust port, I was seeing essentially this, and there wasn't a whole lot of blow by. There still wasn't a whole lot of blow by. And that's one of the ways I kind of kind of judge how a piston's working. And if you look at this piston rings all the way around, it's actually doing pretty good. And then you get over here, and there was something that got over there, made a little bit of marks.
Ring stick or what?
No, I think it was probably just some debris came in there and got in there at
From
some
the
point.
clutch.
No, it can't. And a two-stroke can't get in there.
That's right.
There's no way it can get in there. But this is a 130-hour KTM piston. But you start looking down here at the skirts, it was starting to wear. And when I, checked the gap of the rings, everything was really good. It probably didn't necessarily need to come out, but that's what a 130-hour piston looks like. And then we go to my two latest pistons that have come out. And so this one that I'm going to show you here is, so this is the one that was in my bike last time. So same kind of scenario. And this bike has, I have the weight written onto it. I have 9.2 ounces because I was weighing it compared to the Wiseco that I put in. These are Vertex pistons, by the way, all three of them. So this one got really, really hot. And this is the one, if you go on to our Tech Talk Taco Tuesday, we have a Today in the Shop someplace where I pulled this piston out. And they're happy that you clarified about playing with the squirrel.
Okay.
Yeah, it's important. So this is the one that came out. And then it got really hot. So here is the really hot side of the piston. And so if you're listening to this on the podcast, I'm holding up a piston that has a fair amount of, we'll call it kind of that spot that you're looking at here was all black because the oil was going to it, because this was where the heat was being generated. It got really hot because I don't know why. It was during the summer. It was way up in altitude, and the bike boiled out all of its coolant. And I was not doing anything super gnarly. I was riding it hard, but not anything super gnarly. So you look at the front of the piston, and then you go around the rear, and I was trying to figure out like what caused this. I couldn't tell. But when I start looking at the way that the coolant was circulating through the motor, the majority of the coolant flows up to the front. It's not restricted. So the back on the intake side, they have only small passageways going up into the cylinder head, and the front has unrestricted flow. So of course, where was all the cool water going? And then when it probably started getting really low, which it did, and I rode it for a fair amount of time, it was knocking and detonating. But you look at the here, it was making knocking noises. It didn't do any damage. I stopped, or I didn't ride it hard enough to, I was able to get water back in it in a time frame but I rode it probably 2 or 3 times after that. I put water back in it, but I could always tell it was a little bit loose. So this thing ends up measuring out pretty good. The back of the cylinder, here's the back. So the intake side of the cylinder had a little bit of kind of scarring, but it was nothing I couldn't get out with some fine grit 1500 sandpaper. And Jameson asked, do I ball hone my cylinders when doing a top end? Usually no. This one I just took, there was some of this material had stuck to the cylinder. So I used sandpaper to get it out and threw a brand new Wiseco piston into it. And there's kind of a scar, kind of like on that first piston. When I hold this up, I show you this, there was kind of a pronounced line, but you could run your fingernail into it as hard as you wanted to, and you could barely feel it. That's the best way I found. So like if I run my fingernail across this, like I'm doing it across that thing, I can feel it. In the cylinder, it felt more like I was running it in a different place where there wasn't a scratch or anything. So that is a bike that got too hot that I could have killed it. Could have completely seized it, but I realized it was getting hot because it makes noise. It doesn't really want to run properly. Yeah, it's knocky, and but it definitely got hot, and so this is why I have a complete piston in my hand and not a piston with a bunch of parts and stuff. And then when you look into this piston, of course, that's a little bit looser than normal. And you see the color inside of here, you know, and you look, you can't see because of the camera, you can't see how dark it is up in there, but it got hot. And the bearing also, you can see where the oil had burnt onto the bearing. So the oil was doing its job. It was going to the hot places, and it was sticking and essentially lubing. Like castor is really good. Castor oil is really good for that, although you don't run that in oil injected bikes.
Do you think the two-stroke oil made those deposits?
Yes.
Or
Yeah, it went and stuck to the stuff and then burnt. And so, like I said, that scar on the back was black when I pulled it out, and I had to I cleaned it off. I was able to just wipe it off.
Have you ever seen that before on anything?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I've seen like on two-stroke. So here, and this, so this is out of a KTM 300.
Ain't no oil in it.
That have you ever been that guy that was always like late? Everybody's leaving and you're late, and you didn't warm your bike up, and you take off down the road.
Yeah.
A guy did that. Like some guy, allegedly, got stuck in the bathroom for a little bit longer and was missing the ride. And so bike was not properly warmed up, down the thing. And he's probably going to listen to it on a podcast, and he's not going to know what I just did, which is really good. He'll have to go back and watch the video. This is a typical, what we'll call 4-corner seizure.
Cold seize, right?
So cold seized. So this piston expanded quicker than the cylinder, and the cylinder was no longer usable. It had to go to one of the recoating places. You can see the ring is still stuck.
Yes.
It's molted inside of there. This bike stopped, and it would not run again. It stopped, and all of a sudden the piston would go up and down, and it had no compression. So there's no stopping this, and people ask you like, how long do you warm the bike up? Like whatever. It's like, it's kind of by feel, you know, you just know that it's going to be warmed up properly. So I don't know, exactly, how much it was warmed up, because he was just hauling ass down the road, and the end. Yeah. The bikes have thermostats in them, which is really good at, letting the cylinder warm up properly, but they have to warm up a certain amount. I usually like to, on my two-strokes, if I just am cruising down the road, let's say not putting it under a load, just kind of cruising, you're fine. You kind of have to get it under a load to make it do something like this. And if I feel that there's heat up in the radiator, it starts warming up. The thermostat's going to do its job, and it's going to warm it up. But all these pistons, if you look at the tops of them, they, they're all burning pretty clean. Have nice, the two-stroke oils these days are so good. All this stuff, when you're hearing all this stuff about, two-strokes fouling plugs, you're doing something wrong. You've got to be doing something wrong. And I don't know if the lawyers that wrote how to warm up your bike in the KTM book, which I haven't read exactly yet, I probably should go read it, because I hear people trying to requote it all the time. And like, I see people, they're letting their bike idle with the choke on for like 3 minutes, because that's what the manual said to do. And I'm like, man, start the bike up and turn that damn thing off.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Foul plug like that.
And I don't even know. I used to foul plugs, and I learned from fouling plugs, because plugs were expensive. I learned how to start my bike up, get it to where it would keep running, and then turn my choke off. And this is a carbureted KX80, and how to rev it. I didn't put my hand behind the muffler when I revved it, though. No, I wasn't cool enough to do that.
And then switch hands.
And do the other rev. Because I think you're more feeling that when you rev it, you're trying to feel that flow of exhaust.
And maybe it's to see the smoke coming out too, because
So the smoke maybe. So you're seeing some oil bounce back at you. Yeah. You noticed yesterday when I was riding, because I was a little worried about my oil pump, and I wanted to make sure there was oil. And then there was one point when I was riding, and I felt like a weird vibration. It was chain slap, by the way. Mm-hmm. It was the chain got that resonation. I felt that vibration, and it was just far enough away from the house to where the bike could have been warming up just the right amount to maybe, and so like at that point I backed her down a second, just like to check everything out. So if you have any more Repo Man quotes, I got a beer ready to open up, by the way. Gronk. So we're going to go to our, let's see. Doug Derby says, we're not going to say his name. Well, we will. Jay Clark does that because he likes the smell of that oil. Well, what oil is it? I like the smell of my Rock Oil strawberry scented 2-stroke oil. Did you get a hint of strawberries behind me yesterday?
Nope.
Nope, because I ran out of the strawberry scented, so it's only like 1/4 strawberry scented in there right now.
Bean oil.
Yeah, the castor smells good.
Oh yeah.
So Jay runs Klotz, I think, is his oil of choice. I may be wrong.
Doesn't that have a specific smell?
Every oil kind of had its own smell. I mean, PJ1 had its smell. I was Calguard forever. It had a smell. Duralube had a smell. Of course, the Maximas, but yeah, they all have their own different thing. I literally, it's a trials. They made it for trials bikes, and then it sold like crazy for scooters. And Rock Oil sent me a whole bunch a long time ago. I had it at Dirt Rider. So we're talking, this stuff's 12 years old. I think I'm down to my last 1 or 2 bottles. But they also, when I talked to them recently, they're like, hey, don't run that stuff. That's not like racing oil, because they think I'm like racing or something. Was I racing yesterday?
No, we're cruising, man.
No, I want to smell of strawberries if I'm riding behind me. And one of my, whatever one I think I'd like. That one has a racist name on it, doesn't it?
Hell,
I should probably drink that. Is it?
That's what I got. I've got my Rattler.
It's 4.3. Oh, Rattler. That's what the French girls drink.
Well, wee.
Could you start over from the top? He was listening to the president's going up against Tech Talk Taco Tuesday tonight.
Yeah, whatever.
Wouldn't even know. Yeah. Hey, if you're worried about all that stuff that's going on in politics, let me tell you something.
Go riding.
I know some people. Yeah, go riding. That's what I did. So if you're all worried about what's going on, I'm just going to tell you that, and I heard this from a credible source, and I live like over the hill from the place that are really the people, the things that are really running the whole world. And I heard it from a person that knows, from another guy that knows, that talked to the main guy. The reason that where we're at now is they found a little thing. It's a little robot that they can put inside of food, and they put it in all of the food at the Whole Foods markets. They put it in there, and that's why the election went the way it was.
Sounds legit.
That's how they flipped the vote. So it was all the food. It's like a little micro robot that changes your mind, because you know that your gut biome, it controls your whole body, right? So just, you heard it here first. Just so you know, this is why we do motorcycles and motorcycle related products. We're going to the YouTube questions. Mark, how do you like that?
Sure.
Okay, I'm going to see if I can actually get this up on the screen. Sometimes I can do this. Let's see if will it let me do YouTube Studio. We're going to try this. See if it goes up as it were. Oh, there we go. Okay, so I actually make something work, and we got lots of questions.
Is this current or last week?
Well, I'm going to see if I can make it work. I might jack it up by touching it over here. So these are our YouTube questions. 3 hours ago, he commented, Mark
Dave.
Schneider, adventure rider. Dave walks.
It's always an adventure.
Hey, Dave, post pictures of your art
Yeah.
on our chat or something like that. See, you can do that. Maybe
Yeah.
in the Facebook comments.
Super talented artist.
Yeah. It's every time I see one of those things, I want to snowboard it.
And founder of Giant Loop, of course.
Yeah, heavy in the moto industry. So let's see if I can see how I'm going to control this down. I don't know if I can make it go down. Okay, so we'll see how it works. What is Stack Smasher?
Johnny Campbell is one of my heroes. Thanks for having him on last week.
Yeah, that was 242. He's one of my heroes too.
Yeah.
So I'm glad.
Do you remember we went riding together, you, me, and Johnny, and we were doing a creek crossing, and we all selected a different line, and for some reason, it was deep where he crossed, and he ended up just in the water, and we ended up like on a sandbar while he was trying to lift.
Do you
his bike
remember
up.
where that
It
was?
was up in the Paiutes.
We don't talk about that. It was up in the mountains.
Yes.
So
It was funny. We were laughing. We like fell over laughing.
I tend to laugh at Johnny a lot when we go trail riding, and that's mean because Johnny was not a trail rider. Remember, he was instructed to go riding with me. His boss told him, "You have to go riding with this clown," because
I haven't seen him in a while.
Yeah.
I miss that guy.
He's a much better trail rider now.
Yeah.
What
He
is
went riding with you.
Can-Am Dennis 6829 says,
Hello from Ontario, Canada. Don't you know?
hey,
Take off, eh?
hey, take off.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks. Glad the antennas are coming up out of the ground.
Cold out there.
That's good. Loopy Shooter 503.
Every year since I can remember, the chassis. What the F? Every one of them have been good bike. You just adjust to suit your needs.
So he's talking about our 25 Honda CRF 250 RX and 450 RX Impression. And so they're talking about the chassis. So if you don't know, you don't know. The chassis makes a huge difference on a bike, and you can change the torque values of the bolts that hold the motor in the chassis and the swing arm pivot specifically, especially on some of these aluminum frames now.
Yeah.
And it makes a big difference. So oftentimes, when we're talking about that, there's what you call chassis feel, and it's very much related to suspension feel. They interact and they work together, but there is chassis feel. And so if you feel like your suspension is doing what it's supposed to be doing, yeah, it's chassis. And yeah, so what the F? Every one of them is in good bike if you adjust it to suit your needs. For most people, yes. They don't make bikes that they say are going to suck. They don't make it to suck.
Bad marketing.
Yeah, they do.
These are pretty old.
KLX 300. Well, it's only a day ago.
Oh, yeah.
So what does Doog Mang?
He wants to ride a KLX 300. He loves Suzuki and Cowie.
Do I need to make the type font bigger, Mark?
Yeah, I can't.
Okay, hold on. We're going to see. It could blow up the entire. Oh, boy.
KLX 300 just went on sale, basically. That's what he's saying.
The KLX 300 went on sale.
Yeah.
Everything's going to go on sale.
Everything, yeah.
Yeah. So, he's talking about the Big Bear Trail Ride. MSR just dropped $300 to top it off. Okay, good. What does Thompson Racing 2294 say?
That's just what we were talking about. Holy mackerel. This is like he's a savant.
He's a savant.
Why do people put their hands behind the exhaust and rev the piss out of bikes? Does it have a purpose or just cringy? I think it's to smell the oil.
Okay. You think it's smell the oil. I think it's sort of like, you know how dogs piss on tires and we don't know why? So, like, why do dogs piss on tires?
Mark their territory.
So maybe you're putting a little two-stroke smoke on your hand and marking your glove? I don't know.
No. It's a mystery.
If you know the answer to this, put it up in the comments and we'll get right back to that, because
it has not been solved.
Do you kind of, I don't know, do you when you do it, do you kind of go limp wrist a little bit so that your fingers flap? Yeah.
To see if there's how much
velocity.
Pressure.
Yeah, maybe you're checking the exhaust velocity to see if the
I was always like checking for moisture for some reason.
Moisture.
Yeah, I don't know.
Like, what kind of head gasket are we running? Get a little head gasket out of there? Yeah. Okay, Zook 291.
Just did a full rebuild of my 2009 and then coming off a 2019 250F. Something about this generation of Yamaha was spot on and sold me going back to an older tech because it was good. That's in regards to the rebuilt YZ250.
So that YZ250 chassis is the same since 2005. And
if it ain't broke.
It ain't broke, don't fix it. I think that's one of the better handling chassis.
There you go.
Just overall, it just does everything really nice. It's a single backbone. They weren't trying to do the twin spar stuff. And chassis.
Yeah, back to that question.
Yeah, get your chassis. There's certain versions of certain things that people really like. I love my YZ125. Of course, it's a 125, so it doesn't have any power. So you can't really flex the chassis out of it, but my weight can flex the chassis. It's pretty good. And then last week we had the talk about, like, do aluminum chassis wear out? And the people are telling me now they're getting so much less rigidity in certain areas that they're starting to feel them wear out, kind of like the old steel ones did.
Ooh,
So
interesting.
yeah, I can see where you can go back, and 2019 was kind of that was where we started letting them flex a little bit more in certain areas, I think. So yeah, good. What is Cam DeCoste 4837?
He says, I got one JD jetting
Yep.
on my 250 EXCF with a 4.1 FMF. Bike runs great and gave it more power. It's a lot more fun now compared to stock, but it does have a little bit of backfire and shooting flames. LOL. It's pretty sick sometimes. I feel like the pop's too much, and although it seems like it, I'd like to tune it down and get rid of the pop. If you're going to
Any thoughts? He wants your thoughts.
take
So
it,
this
take it
is
to a street takeover, and do some donuts and
Rev it.
yeah, rev it as
Rev
high
it.
as you can.
Well, okay, so Cam, so the JD jetting tuner is just like the Dobeck tuner. There's a lot of these tuners out there it interrupts the signal that comes from the ECU to the fuel injector and changes the open time of the fuel injector. And it's very sensitive, and it basically it based on RPM, and it knows RPM based on how many pulses it's doing. It can kind of alter the fuel mapping. And so the backfire and shooting flames is a lot of times coming from a slightly rich mixture that
Pre-detonation?
no rich mixture, and air is being introduced someplace into the system, usually like a header leak or more typically a head pipe / muffler junction leak. That's where the air is getting in, and it allows that unburnt fuel to ignite. Or maybe you have a spark arrestor or something in there that's allowing stuff to pool up, for lack of a better term, and then when it gets oxygen, it can ignite. And, you see it on, a lot of cars and stuff like that where, a lot of times it's when they kind of go into over rev because they do a spark cut and then unburnt fuel goes out. And then when it gets out, everything's so hot it's able to catch fire. Or sometimes when they let off because there's a rich mixture at the zero throttle / higher RPM. So you've let off the throttle and it's actually not burning all of it because there's no air going in there.
Right.
So it's a rich mixture. So there on the JD jetting tuner, there is the idle speed mixture that can be leaned out a little bit, that kind of alter it, but they will also pop in a certain way. It's a little bit different, but they'll pop when they're too lean. So it's a matter of figuring out. The good thing with that is just a matter of pushing a button. You don't have to go inside the carburetor and get your fingers gassy and play with jets and all this stuff like that. You can kind of alter the different things. So sometimes it's the low speed. There's the I forget the colors because I haven't played with it for a while, but I think it's the green throttle zone, and then there's the idle speed or the idle mixture, that the minute you crack the throttle, it's off that and into the green. And if you play around with those, sometimes you can get rid of that popping. But I would look at the exhaust junctions first to make sure there's no air. And look at AI wants to answer this question. The backfire is pretty typical, but you could try lowering the needle clip one. Or I could say, we'll try to put some deeper videos out. We'll try to put some more videos out that go deeper. What should I tell him?
I think you should print that on your Facebook page. That sounds like a good.
I think I should tell him that if he sends me money, I will tell him what I really think, even though I just
Jewelry
did for
too,
free.
Maybe. Jewelry.
Oh, send him some jewelry. He could, yeah. From who? What's her name again?
Oh, I don't know.
Lana?
Zoe.
Zoe. Okay. Yeah.
All right.
So the other question, we got to get to Jeff's question. So he says, "Hey Trev and Jimmy, like asking Trevor a question is useless because he doesn't respond. He just makes videos. He goes riding motorcycles and makes videos and doesn't do his homework and thing." Jeff says, "Sending this question over from the YouTubes because I don't know if we're going to get to it, but I think we are." He says, "I'm wondering if the stator and flywheel from the CRF 450X will fit on the CRF 450RX. Last week, I asked Jimmy and Johnny if California is moving away from green sticker restriction might influence Honda to redesign the 450X. I will tell you right now, Honda is not going to redesign the 450X for a long time. What was it? What was the first year? 2005. They did a minor upgrade in 2008, and then it went to 2011 or 12 or 13 or 14 or 16. I don't know. They're not going to change it. Perhaps lighten it up and unrestricted." He had to. Remember that unrestricted that I got the text. Yeah, unrestricted. So they're not going to do that. The bike is going to just be the way it is. It was designed to be that way for a long time. See, Jimmy was quick to respond, "Go with the RX," because I think the question was, you were asking about wanting a more aggressive bike. I don't know if we started talking about why you would want some of the stuff. And so he says, "I would agree, but there are some features about the X that make it a nice choice also." And he's exactly right. 6-speed gearbox, lights, and the chassis is different. So you know what you need to do, Jeff? You need to go check out the bike and talk to Johnny and Preston and Ricky Brabeck because they're racing the Mint 400 this weekend. They will be riding a bike. And I don't know which bike they're riding. I think they ride the X. They go back and forth, and it's mostly for chassis feel because they can make the engine do anything they want. But a lot of times, and this is what Johnny was talking about, I think they take the R top end and put it on top of the X for the 6-speed gearbox, and I think it's a little bit more durable, the bottom end. You have to ask Johnny these questions. I'm just going off kind of what I know. I prefer the X over the RX in almost as long as I don't have to race it on a track.
Is it a wide ratio, right?
It's a wide ratio.
Yeah.
Oh, not a wide ratio. It's semi-wide, we'll call it.
Semi-wide.
But it has a 6-speed. So anyways, same reason Trevor races the YZ450FX and not the WR450R. Yeah, but who finished in the podium on the Pro Class? Jeff, that's what I want to know. I rode a WR, not Trevor. Trevor rides the FX. He's not on the podium in the Pro Class.
Big money.
But he pulls the stator over to power the lights. Well, I didn't need lights because I finished during the day. But you got to decide that you got to kind of pick the duty of your bike.
What do you want?
We got any more? Do we got no? You know we got to. Do we have any more? Fire flannel that guy's got on. Well, the whole family. Sarah Schneider.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's a hate.
Mark, look at that. Turn up your volume.
Dixon.
Yeah. You're not talking loud enough.
No, sorry.
AI says hand behind the muffler for a quick temp check.
Ooh.
That's AI stupid.
Yeah, you know.
Yeah, it's going to get you to do all kinds of stupid stuff. The old 450X is a legend. I hated it.
So,
I mean, it was okay for trail riding, but the race bikes and stuff, I was that was just, it's kind of like a KTM 690, just not for me. And Ricky Brabeck will fight me to the death on that.
He might win on that one.
Well, he went on almost anything, but they spent a lot of time getting some of the characteristics that he liked on the old bike to work on the new bike. And he's really, that guy's freaking picky. I guess when you're
it helps with the R&D, you know.
When you're a Dakar winner, I guess you can be picky and people cater to you.
They jump.
Yeah. Jimmy did. What did Jimmy do? I don't know what Jimmy did.
I don't remember.
Yeah, I did it. I remember. I won't talk about myself. Actually, I'm not doing that bad.
No.
Oh, okay. I usually. So, wait a minute. Which one are we on here? Okay. JP Conrad.
Just changed Sun's YZ250X piston at 85 hours. Look like new. Same with the rings and cylinder. Just a tad bit of carbon on the top, which is normal, right?
Yep.
Just a hint of blow-by, perhaps. A lot better than my KTM TPI 150 piston at 60 hours. It had blow-by all the way down. He put in a
Wasner piston.
Wasner piston. We plan on 100 hours or less, but these are all trail ridden. I may go with an OEM top end kit on mine. Not sure yet.
JP has a lot of information there.
That's a lot. I mean, who's riding the 150?
Well, that's the thing. It's like
much weight?
It's weight, and just like you think about how much more RPMs the 150 has to turn. And so at 60 hours, it's probably turned more piston strokes, which is what's going to determine the wear
than the 250.
And also the TPI bike, it's doing things a little. It's not using a carburetor. And I tell you what, the carburetors are sloppy in a bad way and a good way. In a bad way, they're not as efficient. And they don't burn as clean, although they're pretty damn good. But it also has a little bit extra gas in there. You're mixing the gas where the TPI is doing kind of that for you. And then blow by all the way down. I mean, all these pistons kind of look like they have blow by all the way down. The pistons that I kind of have on the table here, but they really don't. I mean, if you look between the rings, that's where the blow by is. There's some. This one, 130 hours, it has a little bit of blow by, but not much. So, yeah. And
what was the question?
Just Sons. His bike. I'm just guessing his bike is the 150, because then so he's gonna the Wasner. So the stock piston. I don't know that Wasner's making the pistons on the 2-stroke. Those are the 4-stroke ones, I think.
Not sure.
Yeah. You can never go wrong with stock. I threw a Wiseco to test it into my KTM 300. Seemed like it was working good yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. I have another question about a YZ250 piston that a guy sent us a picture where the coating had come off after only a few minutes of, the moly coating that they put on it. And I need to reach out to somebody and ask them about that. So don't know. What about the zombie apocalypse? Now we know he's cuckoo. He believes in zombies, and he doesn't believe in the little things that they put in your food that change your voting habits.
Have you ever been to Portland? Lots of zombies there. Roaming the streets.
I haven't made it recently.
Been a while.
Don't you love a 2-stroke? Not so finicky. Yes, I like that. So the reason that the YZ250 is the best choice of all 2-strokes, period, is because it has a carburetor and it's simple. Okay, so if you are worried about the whole world turning over to fuel injection, Yamaha has the answer for you in the YZ250. So
keep it simple, stupid.
Keep it simple. Yep. And then he says, not to mention they have a dumb thermostat on those KTMs, which I'm glad my dumb KTM has a dumb thermostat. That way I don't have to spend around wasting my dumb time warming the dumb bike up. Just go. Okay, sorry for the rant. Oregon Riders. You might know Oregon Riders.
Enjoyed the show. That was 242. Is that us?
No.
That was last week.
That was last week. Yeah, you didn't win the show wars yet. Jerry Bernardo?
Uh-huh.
He's really bummed out that he's not the most famous guest with the most views.
Oh.
Yeah.
How do you think I'll do?
I don't know. You had a big fan club going. I saw your wife, your daughter, you got Dave, you got Ski Mom. I don't remember her name. Carol, yeah, you got Carol.
They're great. I love those guys.
They're rooting for you. We just keep the likes up. What's the next question?
Anyone?
What's your problem? 158.
Anyone have a handle on the super thin head gaskets that can be used for adjusting the squish? What the hell are they called?
Super thin head gaskets.
Yeah.
Well,
more compression or what?
So this comment, the video he commented on was called "How to Find the Correct Base Gasket Thickness on KTM 2-strokes." So the KTM 2-strokes have O-rings in the head. So it's right now you have the super thinnest head gasket you can possibly have with no head gasket.
Metal on metal.
Metal on metal. So it's, I think that what you can do if you want to adjust the squish is like we talk about in the base gasket thickness. That's what you're adjusting essentially.
You can mill the head, right?
And you can always mill the head. And then you can always run race gas. And you can always wonder why your bike's seized. And you can always wonder why your bike seized after the one time you had it jetted perfectly or whatever with your race gas, or you never jetted it for the race gas you're running on your fuel injected bike or whatever it was, and you had to put pump gas in it and then it detonated itself. It's like, what are you trying to do? If you want it to run 10/10ths, you need to talk to somebody who knows what the super thin head gaskets are called.
O-rings.
Asherlito says,
Bummed I missed this podcast. My good friend said Johnny Campbell.
you
was
don't
a
have to miss it. You just sign up, subscribe. You subscribe on the YouTubes.
It's on the YouTubes.
Subscribe on the podcast platforms. It comes. They'll send you and you'll get a notice. It'll download automatically. I don't miss any. I don't have a chance to listen to all the damn podcasts I subscribe to because I'm so busy answering these stupid questions.
Your good friend says Johnny Campbell was a cheater. Huh?
Yeah.
Well, every desert racer is a cheater.
Wait,
No.
my good friend said Johnny Campbell was a cheater, and I wanted to ask if he was. Wait, would you have asked that on the show? You can hide behind a screen name and ask that question.
Right.
Let's see. We actually talked a little bit about rules and
Bending them?
We were talking about how the digital road book being prepared for the digital road book in Dakar might have involved some rule bending on certain teams' part, but it somebody could say cheating, but you're sitting here amongst people, and I'm a race promoter. People try to cheat all the time, and guess what? They're not as good as I was, and I never cheated. I just took the rules to the limit. If you cheat, I'll disqualify you, and if I cheated, I felt like I should get disqualified. We always played within the limits of the rules, and especially when Johnny was racing for Honda, it's funny because the one that what's the Baja Glory
Dust Glory
of Glory shows him dropping down on the beach like it was a cheating move, and I
Isn't
don't
it like a 100-yard of the ribbon.
There's something like that.
You know?
I don't remember if they had VCPs back then or how they were actually policing this kind of stuff. But
And we used to do that. You got a whoop trail and a sand wash.
in a desert race.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the sand wash is faster and it's, less than 100 yards off. That's legal, right? I mean, it's thinking outside the box.
So here's Ashley. Ashley's he's a long time watcher. He says my friend was at the line at JC at Carlsbad GP back in the day. Well, guess what? He beat me too. Okay, Johnny beat me at Carlsbad, and that pissed me off. And it wasn't because, as he says, it was a clutch hand on the helmet start, and my best friend JC would not put his hand on his helmet. But let's pretend like we're gonna do a clutch. Which side's the clutch? It's this side. Let's pretend like we're gonna do it. What are you gonna do, Mark?
You get your hand as close to that clutch lever. I got a funny clutch lever story. Are you ready for it?
And guess what? And the whole time you're flinching, and you're so if your friend, and I'm not standing up for Johnny here. Johnny's my friend. I'm not standing up for him. I'm just telling you the way it is because I would do the exact same thing. If your friend was able to watch where Johnny Campbell's hand was while this start was happening,
was he a racer?
then
or was
he
in the
wasn't
crowd?
paying attention to what he needed to be paying attention to.
Okay, I got a good story, real quick.
And he did it even after his friend called him out for it. I think this is back in the 80s, so I doubt he remembers. Okay.
So I got this story. It was
He's probably right.
I think it was VCM Viewfinders MC down in Riverside, the last race.
Yep.
And Tom Willis, remember him?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
He was on an automatic.
He's in the
Husqvarna.
checkers, which means he's automatically a cheater.
Yeah.
They cheat no matter what.
But he was on an automatic Husqvarna.
Right.
And it was a hand on your head start.
Uh-huh.
And about 5 seconds before the banner drop, he just pinned it. And it was just, everybody else had their hand on their head, and he was going down that front stretch of pavement
Yeah, he's gone.
and gone with his hand on his head because he had an automatic Husky.
And they said you had to keep your hand on the head till
And
it.
he did.
Yeah.
And I remember that watching. him do-
Well,
That's
I
pretty
don't
cool.
want to give away my secret for hand on the head starts, but I have one that's like this really good. Oh, hey, back to that question about have you ever abused magazine bikes and stuff like that? You want to know something about the hand on the head, Ashleyto? You want to know what Jimmy Lewis does? Fucking tranny slam.
Yeah.
Just a full. And so. I'm not racing anymore, so I'll tell you what to do. So, because they still do these a lot of Grand Prix and stuff like that. So here's what you do. This is the nugget that you listen to this show for, especially if you're a racer. Nobody listens to racers. They don't listen to this stuff. So you know how you pack your line in. You know, everybody packs their line in.
I used to bring a 5-gallon water barrel.
Right. So you have your line at a Grand Prix or something. They might have watered it before, but so what you do is if you're allowed to beforehand, you would actually go and do a proper start and make a nice straight rut, right? And so you made a little bit of rut. And then if you're going to do the tranny slam, you fluff in for about 2 wheel rotations. You fluff in the dirt on top of it, and then in front of it's a rut. And so basically when you drop that thing in, it's going to spin. It's going to spin and it's going to rev up so it doesn't bog down. And then you're going, and then the rut is there to catch your tire, so you take off straight when it finally starts gripping and going. And if you're in the right position and stuff like that, you're way over the front.
Yeah.
And this is before hole shot devices and stuff, because with a hole shot device, it would make it easier. So you kind of have this RPM that it'll still drop in. It won't just grind until you hold it at this. It's kind of like a slightly elevated RPM, not at idle.
Right.
And so you can drop in. It's not going to stall, and you can just roll it on. I used to get such big hole shots at Grand Prix, and everybody thought I was cheating. And then this has been video cameras just coming out. Everybody had a video camera. Yeah. And so they videoed me, and they're like, he tranny slams it. And it was the people that are videotaping didn't want to say that out loud because they realized the secret, but they didn't know all the stuff behind the tranny slam. So
these days, tranny slam has a whole different meaning, I think.
Oh, really? Well, we can talk about tranny slamming tonight on Tech Talk Taco Tuesday. Yeah, and do I have to put now since I said that, do I have to check the offensive comments? On this thing? I don't know. Let's see. We got a lot of wait a minute. What does Stefan Bryson say about my AIM Expo take?
Let's see. He said, "You got that aged look." That's right.
Thanks. Yeah.
We all old.
You never know how much a little tranny slamming will age you quickly.
We're old. We're bald.
Yeah.
We wear hats.
Let's see.
I got a 6-inch long chest hair. Want to see it?
Let's see. Jay, I noticed you don't have the yellow circle near the valve stem on the rim lock. Whoa, doesn't matter. Where is the preferred position on the rim for the yellow circle on the sidewall of the tire? That's, I'd call Jay right now, but I'm not gonna. Do you realize this is a dirt bike? Hey, you know what? If you're building a race bike, when people watch me work in the garage, they're like, oh, you're kind of a hack. It's like, no, I get the job done and my shit works. And I'm pretty sure that whatever Jay did, that if you're going to do it to 10/10, like if you're putting it on a race bike, a factory race bike, you would want to do that. So I'm glad you guys
All
are paying that
torque
much
specs,
attention.
right?
Yeah, for a vehicle, it makes for easier balance. So there's a mark on a lot of tires that is either the heavy or the light spot on the tire, depending on the brand and stuff like that. And you want to line it up with the rim lock and or the thing.
Don't you want to do it opposite the rim lock?
Well, I don't know. That's I gotta know what brand it is and whether it's the heavy or the light spot. And I think on the Dunlop, I believe. I don't know. I can't remember whether it is. So and it depends on the rim because KTM's have the rim lock and their valve core, the valve stem, close to each other, where Yamahas have them opposite each other.
Which makes sense.
It does make sense. It's not great for changing tires, but KTM, they're building enduro bikes, and they know you're going to change your tire quickly at an enduro race, right? So they put them on the same side. It's quicker that way. So, let's see. And then we answered some of these other questions because they came
Already,
before the
that's
next
7
show.
days
So yeah,
Right.
so we're in there, and now. Yeah, well, that was a good one. You're right. Let's see. Doug Bates says, "What is Doug?
Jug, my buddy Jug.
What does he say?"
He's got that 620 KTM.
I'm going to get
Duke.
you into the show more often. You got a bunch of fans, Mark.
Needs a new
what are you
home.
doing up there in Bend? You got a podcast?
I should.
I'll show you how to do it. You only need a couple of wires,
Mm-hmm.
you need a few wires, and then one of those camera things.
I see you running around here before the show. I don't want that
Yeah,
kind of
it's
trauma in my life.
it's no problem.
But yeah, Doug's
You
got.
get paid a lot. You make so much money doing a podcast.
I doubt that.
No, really.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. You get put in halls of fames.
Yeah.
I'm not
Oh,
going to
yeah.
talk about myself.
How was that? Oh. Let's talk about the Husaberg gargoyle idea. So I suggested.
Oh, you're a DJ.
Yeah.
I didn't know.
Yeah. So I suggested Jimmy puts 2 Husabergs at the entrance of his property, like gargoyles watching out over everybody.
But wait, you suggested I did it. You mean I didn't already do that?
Well, it was like that in his garage, and I'm like, why don't you move it out maybe to the street or?
Oh, well, no, but I already have. You know, I know this. So what Mark's talking about is like I have my shop in each corner of the shop before you enter the doors.
Mm-hmm.
There's Husabergs parked out there.
Guardian.
They're
Husabergs.
guardians, but they're also so that I can like run and jump on them and ride them if I start having a panic attack and I need to feel like a lot of power.
Yeah.
Because some people, it's kind of like, I guess it's like drugs. I've never been addicted to drugs, but I suspect it's kind of like that where you just you start fiending and you need a little fix. So I just run out and grab the nearest Husaberg. I hop on it and I just do a couple roll-ons and I'm all good.
Yep.
Like the wheel, like the third and fourth gear just rolling on and having the wheel just progressively come off. And it happens to street bike guys all the time.
I
But,
think there's a support group for that.
huh?
Maybe not. Maybe you should be the support group.
I'll lead it. Yeah. But I don't have a problem
Oh,
at this.
he's got a
At all.
problem.
So, hey, thanks everybody for joining in, enjoying our show, watching our commercial break. If you've gotten this far, subscribe.
Who's out there?
Make one of your friends subscribe to this thing, and that way they'll quit asking you the stupid questions. They can ask them to us. I know they have to sit through all this minutia, and it takes a little while to know the characters and all the stupid things that we do here at Tech Talk Taco Tuesday. You can learn why we have front disc guards made out of wood. It's his bulletproof designs. It's it
Sample,
floats.
right?
Yeah, it's a sample. Mark, have you looked at this thing closely, or
It
did
is
you just
pretty cool.
you did look
I
at it?
did read
Yeah.
the stuff too.
Yeah, you should look at what it says. It's got some hidden stuff in there. There's where the heck is the look at the best one is look at that right there. Look at that.
Oh yeah, PBR. Ride while you can, people.
Yeah.
Ride while you can.
Ride while you can. That's why I don't get these uploaded that quick onto the internets. I do my best. So if you have any questions, put them in the comments. Send us an email. It's my name at dirtbiketest.com. And here's the best part about the show. You know how everybody watches shows like this because they want to get something free and they want to win a contest? If you would have submitted your submission for Rooster Endo, you would have won.
There was no Rooster Endo submission.
No, because nobody submitted. If you sent it in Takamoto, Rooster Endo brought to you by Takamoto.
Oh.
So if you would have just sent it in, it could have been the worst one. It could have been the best one. You would have won.
Wow.
And here's the best thing about that. It's $100. Like, how else can you make $100 by sending in a photo of your bike and just telling us something about it?
So you're going to give that one to the host then, right?
I probably could. You know what? You know what? That's our parting gift. Mark, you win tonight's Rooster Endo because we did talk about your gas.
Yeah.
Yeah, it needs some things.
A couple. Yeah.
Yeah,
a couple
you
things.
could. So thank you, Mike from Takamoto.
Yeah.
Crazy Mark from Fraiser Park, formerly, is the winner of tonight's Rooster Endo. He has a 2024 Gas 300 EC.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So much fun.
yeah. It's a
Makes me
great
feel 10 years younger riding that thing.
Great bike, yeah. I actually, I'm not even joking that your riding skill blew me away.
Really?
Yeah.
Ooh.
I was expecting a lot less.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, no, I mean, I remember because we used to go out in the trails in the days. You've done a lot of trail riding with me, and just when it came to like the technical nitty gritty where we could have gotten in trouble, and I would expect.
And you look back.
I would expect most people to get in trouble. You didn't go into it too fast. You know, I'm looking back because I'm going, oh, how's he going to do on that log? Right over it, no problem. And I want to give at least 98% of that credit to your bike.
Oh,
Yeah. No, just kidding.
can I flip you off?
No. I was no. It's
good times.
Your technicality in your riding was really good. I was worried about when we came out of that sand wash. You said, "Dude, that thing killed me," and I'm like, "What were you doing?" I think you need to take a piss.
Yeah, I think so.
I was throwing
It's
the
just
weight
those
off.
big sand rocks, you know.
Yeah.
They take the energy right out of you. But
Yeah.
all right.
So, anyways, ride while you can, Joe.
Yeah, that's a quote. Definitely, Dave knows.
Yeah, that's good. I think everybody should ride them and smoke them if you've got them.
If you got 'em.
That's not a Repo Man quote, Gronk.
No, it's not.
You know what? I got to think of a good one to sign off on the show. Hold on a second. I got to throw one of these out there. Yeah. Got to throw a little bit of that out there to the audio files. And let's...
Ain't gonna be no repo man.
Yeah. Oh, there's got to be some. There's like 10,000 floating through the head right now.
Best damn car on the lot. Hey, Mama, want to take a lift?
Yeah.
Cheers, y'all.
Shit, girls pay to go out with me.
I bet you're a used car salesman.
Okay, we'll see you on the next one. Cheers, everybody.
Bye.
We're out. Let's see. How do I shut this stupid show off again? It always works like that.
If you liked what you saw in this video, come check us out over at dirtbiketest.com on the webs. We have bike tests, product tests, a lot of fresh dirt, and you can even support us by clicking through our links. Hopefully, we'll see you out in the trail.